Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie, Florida. The New York Mets play the St. Louis Cardinals. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Port St. Lucie. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you. 6 days away from opening day, the Mets take on the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Mets continue to deal with spring training injury woes, with Johan Santana already on the shelf to start the season. He was supposed to start opening day. Now the guy who was supposed to start the second game of the season, Sean Markham, is dealing with more physical problems as well.
You know, he had a cortisone shot just a week ago for a shoulder impingement, now has a bit of a neck issue. So what was supposed to be one of the strengths for Terry Collins' crew this year now has run into a little bit of a buzzsaw. It's going to be interesting. Maybe we'll talk about Zach Wheeler during the game, and maybe he'll play a role this season quicker than we thought he would.
We already know Jeremy Hefner is going to be in the rotation, and he will pitch today. As for the lineup, David Wright and Daniel Murphy are playing on the minor league side, trying to come back from injuries to their sides. That means Jordani Valdespin plays second base today and hits leadoff.
Well, Valdespin's had a great spring and a great opportunity for Valdespin because of the injuries to Murphy and Wright. So he's playing at second base. He's had a terrific spring, 4 home runs, hitting .327. He gives him speed at the top of the lineup.
Well, Valdespin is certainly going to be part of this team. Where he's going to play might be the outfield, might be second base. We'll find out more. He's at second base today. It's the Mets taking on Adam Wainwright and the St. Louis Cardinals this afternoon at Tradition Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. Guarantee access to 2013 MLB All-Star ticket strips by becoming a Mets ticket plan holder today. The 2013 MLB All-Star Game is coming to Citi Field this July. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com/All-Star now. David Wright playing over on the minor league side. He's going to DH today, trying to get himself ready for opening day just 6 days hence. We'll keep track of David's progress as we follow the game inside the stadium when we come back.
At Jeep, we're having our showcase event.
Here's the captain in a different venue today on one of the backfields, getting ready to DH. He and Daniel Murphy will both be on the backside. Here's the starting lineup for the Cardinals today, brought to you by Toyota. Carlos Beltran playing in a Grapefruit League game for the first time since late February. He was also in the WBC, but he's had a fractured toe, so he's along today as the Cardinals bring most of their opening day lineup here. They won't have David Freese. He's on the disabled list now and will start the season there. Jeremy Hefner, who will be in the rotation for the Mets at season's beginning, will take the start today.
Well, Santana not being able to make that start, Hefner moved into the rotation as the 5th starter. Now might be the 4th starter. 13 games started last year, 4 wins and 14 walks and 53 strikeouts in those games.
So there's been a lot of figuring out for Terry Collins to do. He has written, unwritten, and rewritten lineups and rosters and disabled lists over and over the last couple of weeks, and the list keeps changing day to day. Mike Matheny now in his 2nd year managing the Cardinals. Took him within a game of the World Series last year in his first season.
The most important equipment issued this spring training for Terry, number 2 pencils.
With a eraser.
That's right.
John Jay will lead things off for St. Louis. They had a tremendous year last year.
He sure did. 305, stole 19 bases, 117 games, scored 70 runs in the leadoff spot. Got an odd swing, but he puts it in play. He's capable of the inside out. He's not paid to hit home runs. He's paid to get on base and score runs.
373 on base percentage last year, one of the best for any leadoff hitters in the game. So we're set to go. It's a cool afternoon, just 60 degrees at game time here at Tradition Field. And Hefner fires the first pitch of the afternoon, and Jay takes it the other way, and he's on base to start the afternoon.
Well, as I stated, it's what he does so well, the ability to inside out. The fastball in, and you don't get it in enough. That kind of bled out over the plate. Just a little inside out, line drive.
And this is not Carlos Beltran, who was in the lineup today. This is Matt Carpenter. So the Cardinals have made a late change to their lineup, and we'll have to pick that up as we go along. Beltran had been in the lineup. This was going to be his first game in the field since breaking his toe in late February, but clearly Beltran was a late scratch, although Carlos has a helmet on and is in the dugout, so it looks like they just changed their batting order. Alan Craig is on deck. Matt Holliday was supposed to be in the 3rd spot in the order, but Holliday is nowhere to be seen. So there you go. It's spring training still. Now, if this happened 6 days from now, we'd be sweating.
You guys would be whiting out. There'd be white out all over the place here.
Gary would be frothing at the mouth.
Well, here's the good news, and that is that we never were able to put up a graphic representation of the Cardinals lineup. We picked it up off the scoreboard because you see it spring training for our graphics machine as well.
Okay.
And it is taking a holiday today. Potential double play ball. Valdespin with the quick turn, and Quintanilla can't quite turn it over as Carpenter beats the wrap at first base.
Well, something the Mets need to improve on from last year is turning the double play here. They don't get it done here, although they've been very good this spring training.
So Carpenter able to beat the play to first base, 1 out and 1 on. And now Alan Craig, who had a breakout season last year. 307, 22 homers, 92 RBIs, despite missing some time along the way. And Hefner fools him with a breaking ball, 0-1. So now Beltran is out on deck. So Carlos is hitting cleanup.
I am changing my lineup card here, my scorecard as we speak.
You know what they call that in hockey? Changing on the fly.
That's right.
Craig, we believe, is playing first base today, although who knows. That's the one thing about the Cardinals with some of their players like Craig, like Carpenter. You don't know where they're going to be positionally on a day-to-day basis because they have that kind of versatility.
Descalso's another.
And with David Freese out with a back injury for the start of the season, that's going to move some people around as well. After missing inside 2-1. Cardinals won 88 games last year. They were the wild card team, the second wild card team. Played that one-game wild card playoff with the Braves and won it. Made it to the league championship series. Down to third, should be two. Valdespin with a turn, but he can't get it out of his glove. And so the Mets failed to turn what should have been an inning-ending double play.
Well, as I've stated earlier, they've been much better than Mets turning two in spring. Not a good feed to Valdespin from Turner there.
So now it's Beltran with two on the runner aboard. Carlos, who played for the Puerto Rican team in the World Baseball Classic, has only had 6 Grapefruit League at-bats this spring. We're being told now Matt Holliday was scratched with tightness in his left side, which is, you know, it's an epidemic.
The intercostal.
I mean,
it's cold.
Something has got to be done.
Well, I have an idea.
Go ahead.
No sit-ups.
No, none at all.
Hey, you haven't got 300-pound linemen coming in and tackling you and falling on your tummy. You got to have trunk rotation.
So no ab rollers, nothing like that.
You can do a little bit, but don't overdo it. Come on, it's ridiculous.
After behind 2-0 and throws the off-speed pitch outside. Well, the Mets are well acquainted with the intercostal/oblique injuries this spring. David Wright, who had one of his own, safe at first base. Was he really safe?
I don't know. How can he be safe?
Looked out from here. Valdespin plays the hop and throws out Beltran. And so Hefner gets 3 ground balls after Jay's leadoff hit. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Jordani Valdespin and Justin Turner filling in for Murphy and Wright. Kirk Neuenhuis back in the lineup. First time he'll be playing the field as a starting player since hurting his knee a few weeks ago. Adam Wainwright on the mound and throws a fastball strike to Valdespin.
Well, Valdespin, to be said, having a good spring and taking advantage of his playing time in spring, getting a lot with Wright, and Turner was hurt for a while too, so.
Chopper, Descalzo, nice backhand stop, but the throw too late to get Valdespin, who beats it out for an infield hit.
Keith, that goes back to what you're talking about, the athleticism of Valdez-Bean.
Yes, well, he can run, too. And we know that Mets haven't got a lot of speed. And it's something that he provides. And to me, I think he's got to be given a chance to get a lot of playing time to see what he can do.
Well, it's clear when you look at who the Mets are going to put on the field that they don't have a natural leadoff hitter if Valdez-Bean is not in the lineup. Now, they can use Colin Cowgill there, but really he's better suited to be a down in the batting order kind of guy. They used Ruben Tejada in the leadoff spot last year, but that's not his natural spot. So certainly if Valdez-Bean is playing, it gives you the leadoff hitter you otherwise really don't have. As Turner fouls one off the right side. And that'll go out of play.
I'm still of the feeling that I think that the Mets need to lengthen their lineup, get a little deeper down in their lineup. And the only way to do that, I feel, I would hit Murphy third, and I would hit David fourth, Ike fifth. Then you can come with Marlon Byrd.
So you'd have Tejada hitting second.
Tejada hitting second, or yeah, well, Murph's playing. Turner's not going to play, obviously. Yes, Tejada can hit second. It gives you a little more depth deeper in the lineup.
Now you have Cowgill maybe seventh, and yeah, okay.
Well, if Valdez-Bean's leading off, Cowgill's not going to be in the lineup. He'd be in center. But that, I just think you need to get a little deeper, a little more depth in that lineup. There's Murph.
Murph playing in the field. He played 7 innings in a minor league game yesterday. By the way, we got the scoring on David Wright reaching base his first time up, E3.
Oh, dropped by the first baseman.
So there you go.
Come on.
Turner hitting .308 this spring. And Justin fouls it off. Facing Adam Wainwright, who's making his 6th start of the spring, getting ready for his opening day assignment in Arizona next Monday. And Wainwright, 31 years old now, and right now Cardinals and Wainwright's agent are in serious negotiations about a long-term contract. And it's one of those in-between kind of things that really makes you think, right? There's the curveball, and Turner laces it right at Tavares, the left fielder. Oscar Tavares filling in for Matt Holliday, who was scratched at the last moment, and that's the first out. I mean, you know, Wainwright's been a very, very successful pitcher, but he had Tommy John surgery and missed all of the season 2 years ago. Came back, had a good year, but not a great year last year. And by the time his contract runs out, he's going to be 32 years old. So if you're the Cardinals, what do you do?
Well, I'm still a big believer that you can't take these pitchers much past 35 years old. If you do, you're courting trouble. So maybe they can work out a 3-year deal, but I'm sure that Wainwright, with seeing some of the numbers out there for some of the free agent pitchers this winter, is looking for a 5-year plus.
Here's Ike Davis, who's having himself a terrific spring, hitting at .341, and he takes it up and away.
You know, another thing the Cardinals organization has in its favor is that everybody who plays for the Cardinals loves to play in St. Louis. It's that they're always in the hunt, year in, year out. They're a great baseball city. They have that Cardinal tradition, and that's in the organization's favor.
So you think there's like a built-in home discount sometimes for the Cardinals?
You know, with all the money there is today, if Wainwright takes what, less of $40 million or $30 million less?
Well, think about it this way, though. Wainwright, when his contract runs out, is going to be the same age that Albert Pujols was when his contract ran out. And the Cardinals opted to let him walk away. And they came back last year and got within a game of the World Series without him.
That's right.
I mean, that's the kind of development that the Cardinals have been able to put together in their farm system. I mean, they lost Pujols, but Alan Craig took on a bigger role, and he might not have been Albert Pujols, but he did enough to be able to prop them up offensively. Now the Cardinals have a young pitcher like Shelby Duncan coming along, who they think Shelby Miller coming along, who might be, you know, at least part of what Wainwright was, and for a lot lower price.
What other team can lose an iconic manager like La Russa, an iconic player like Pujols, and get one win away from going to the World Series? Not many.
Exactly right.
So it'll be an interesting call. Wainwright has said he doesn't want to negotiate beyond opening day, so the window is small with a year to go on his contract. We'll see what transpires with that.
And that's just putting a little pressure on. Pressure applied right there a little bit.
2-2 to Davis, and the curveball knocked down by Molina. By the way, Yadier Molina, we know how good he is. Never better than in the World Baseball Classic, handling mostly an inexperienced group of Puerto Rican pitchers and got them within a game of the championship.
Did you see the article about Molina and Wainwright when their discussion on the mound before facing Beltran in Game 7 with the bases loaded?
I didn't. See if Valdespin runs. He does not, and Wainwright walks Davis. So Ike, who's been very patient at the plate this spring, draws the walk. The Mets up 2-1.
He spit on that 2-2 breaking ball in the dirt, which was the key pitch for Ike. The article said that Molina went out to speak to Wainwright before he faced Beltran. Dave Duncan sitting next to La Russa. La Russa said to him, go out there and talk to him. Duncan said, no, Molina's got it. Molina tells Wainwright, hey, we're going to start him out with a first pitch sinker. By the time Molina gets behind the plate, he says to himself, you know what? He's going to try to overthrow it. It's going to flatten out. I'm going to start with the first pitch change. Set up the whole at bat. Of course, it ended with the curveball.
Here's Marlon Byrd with 2 on and 1 out. Byrd has continued his fine spring, and he takes inside ball 1, and almost certainly will be an everyday player for the Mets, or at least as close to an everyday player as anybody in that outfield is going to be when the year begins. Whether that's in right field, whether it's in center field, I think is still to be determined. The Mets are probably going to go north with 5 outfielders, and although Lucas Duda is probably going to be a fixture in left, nothing else is really certain. That's off the end of the bat, and John Jay is over to grab it. Valdespin will hold it second, and Bird's retired, 2 out.
Well, it says a lot about Marlon Byrd. That might say a little bit about the Mets lineup too, but here's a guy that almost out of the game, suspended last season, and has been batting cleanup all spring training.
Well, in a perfect world, you want a right-hand hitter between Davis and Duda to split them up. And, you know, unless you're going to hit Davis third and right fourth, the only way to do that is to take a guy like Byrd and put him in the middle. Here's Lucas, who's been swinging the bat much better after a horrific start to his spring. Now has 4 home runs. 2 out and 2 on. And the first pitch breaking ball misses, ball 1. Wainwright does not throw nearly as hard as he did before his Tommy John surgery. Much more dependent on his breaking stuff.
He did not throw one fastball over 90 last Thursday, but he's already thrown 191 and 92, so airing it out a little this afternoon.
2 years ago, or 3 years ago, before the Tommy John surgery, Wainwright averaged 93.5 with his fastball. Last year, 89.6, so he lost nearly 4 miles an hour off his average fastball. The numbers weren't great, but they were good. 14 and 13, a 3.94 ERA. And Duda laces one the other way. That's slicing away to the corner, and that's going to drop for a base hit. Valdespin in with the first run. It's booted by Taveras in left. That'll enable Davis to score easily. Duda pulls into second base, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead. I don't know if the second one would have scored had Oscar Taveras fielded that ball cleanly, but he didn't. And Davis able to scramble in all the way from first.
Well, they're going to move Davis back because the ball went out of play.
Oh.
When it got by him here, it goes under the fence, out of play. Got a break.
But you know what? I would argue that call because there's no question Davis was going to score had that ball not lodged under the fence.
Agreed.
And the third base umpire, Chris Conroy, is telling Terry Collins right now that he has no discretion on that. It's not like a fan interference play where you can put the base runners where you feel they ought to be. If the ball goes out of play like that, it's 2 bases with no recourse.
Except the problem is it's the misplay by Taveras that allowed it to go under there.
Now tell me, he can't grab that ball? That ball's out. That ball, because it's playable.
You know what? If it's a regular season game, I think there's a more vociferous argument from the skipper.
Right.
John Budd swings and misses. So it's a 1-0 Met lead.
You know, excuse me. It's interesting. Duda going to left field. Started going to the opposite field this spring. Got off to a really shaky start. But going the other way now with success.
And Buck is hit by the pitch. And the Mets have the bases loaded. So Wainwright, who had 6 batters last year, plunks Buck down near the forearm. And And so the Mets with the first inning bases loaded opportunity. You know, spring training is much longer this year than it's been in prior years. And you're talking about Duda. For most players, they're a little sick of spring training at this point and ready to go. The long spring training turns out to have helped Duda. They were able to back him off after his initial problems, kind of retool his preparation at the plate, and it seems to have paid off.
They almost gave him a timeout or a reboot, didn't they, in the beginning of spring training?
Well, I think unfairly the spotlight was on Lucas early in spring, and they got the new holding of his hands, his take back with Dave Hudgens worked on. And you know, when you're a hitter and they change you, it's not going to be comfortable if you're going to change something that go against what you've done your whole life. So when he struck out the 4 times and they backed him off the game, Gary, that's what you're alluding to, or backed him off a couple games, you know, he's come around slowly, and he's got 4 home runs this spring.
Now Kirk Neuenhuis batting with the bases loaded and 2 out. And Wainwright running that cutter inside. It's 1-2. For Neuenhuis, it's been a lost spring so far. Bruised his knee on a slide about 3 weeks ago. This is his first game starting in the field since then. And when he's played, he's just 1 for 22. So it was supposed to be a year where Kirk would be on the opening day roster is looking like something very different now. And he goes back swinging on the curveball. And Wainwright gets himself out of further trouble in the opening inning. Mets cash a run on the Lucas Duda opposite field double. Should have had 2 RBIs. They'll settle for 1. Let's give Jeremy Hefner a 1-0 lead as we go to the second. Inning in the minor league game, David Wright getting his second at bat. It's going to be one of those 7 at bat days for David. And he flies out to center field.
Oh, that young man pitching, Mr. Manis, and the number and the name on his back, is very excited. We got David Wright out, the minor leaguer. How exciting!
Facing Wright, facing Murphy today.
I watched him pitch the other day for St. Louis in minor leagues last year. 170 innings pitched, 10 walks.
Really
pretty amazing numbers. I was saying Brett Saberhagen type numbers.
Yadier Molina leads off for the Cardinals, and he takes a strike from Jeremy Hefner. Molina, who finished 4th in the MVP balloting last year. That's 2 catchers in the top 4 in the voting last year, and both deservedly so. Buster Posey won the award. Ryan Braun finished 2nd, Andrew McCutchen 3rd, and then Molina. And Hefner gets ahead of him 1-2. Looks like Oscar Taveras is in the 6th spot in the batting order. He's come out on deck. A retooled Cardinal order after Matt Holliday was a late scratch with some tightness in his left side. Teams ought to just make a recording of that. Tightness in his left side, tightness in his right side.
Right.
Where they don't have to waste their time every other day when somebody suffers that kind of injury.
I'm surprised it's not the IC muscle now. Instead of us having to say intercostal, it should just be the IC muscle, because everyone knows. Or the IC strain.
Kind of like the AC joint in your neck, right? Molina slashes one foul. You know the most amazing thing about Yadier Molina? He's still only 30 years old. Feels like he's been around for decades.
So when I was telling that story, it shows what a born leader he was. He was 23 at the time.
It's hard to believe that was 7 years ago. Seventh pitch of the at-bat from Hefner to Molina, and he runs a full count. Jeremy Hefner making his second to last start of the spring, although with Markham out now, I'm not sure how the Mets are going to slot their rotation. Could well be that Matt Harvey will pitch that second game against the Padres. Hammered down to third, but a foul ball. It was supposed to be Nice going on opening day, and that's still going to be the case. John will make his final spring training start tomorrow night. And then Markham was supposed to go in game 2. And then they were going to slot Harvey in between Markham and G, the less hard throwing pitchers. And then Hefner would get the 5 spot. But with Markham having to be scratched from his start on Thursday, his status for that first stretch of the season very much up in the air.
Well, remember last year when they used to have to, well, not have to, but try to pitch R.A. Dickey on the first game of the series?
Toward the hole at shortstop. Quintanilla with a diving grab. Can he get Molina?
Yes.
He does. No! Thought he had him, but the first base umpire James Hoy said no. Very close play. Davis certainly thought he had him. So did Hefner. What a great play by Quintanilla.
I'll say he gets up quickly and throws a gun over there. Nice scoop by Ike.
He was out.
I don't even think it's close, is it? It's in the air.
He was out.
It was closer than I thought, though.
So Molina gets a rare infield hit. So the Cardinals have a leadoff hit for the second straight inning, and now here's young Oscar Taveras. Taveras, one of the Cardinals' top prospects. Late addition to the lineup today. Last year played Double-A in Springfield, hit .321 with 23 home runs and 94 RBIs. .380 on base percentage, .572 slugging percentage. You can understand why he's so highly regarded.
Well, the good players still keep coming. We've seen a lot of Matt Adams this spring, and he looks like a natural also.
Adams has hit the ball harder than anybody I've seen all spring.
Right.
Everything he hits is a bullet. And now Hefner behind on Taveras, 3-0.
Beltran was swinging 3-0 in the first inning. You doubt that the youngster Taveras will be swinging here.
We've seen Beltran swing 3-0 for many, many years. And Hefner pours one over, 3-1. '27-year-old Jeremy Hefner, whom the Mets drafted twice out of high school and junior college, didn't sign either time. Wound up finally being drafted out of Oral Roberts by San Diego. Lined right at Bird, and that's a hard first out. So Taveras retired, 1 out and 1 on. Now Daniel Descalzo, the second baseman. Descalzo having a good spring, hitting at .345. Now David Wright's getting yet another at bat. It's his third in about 20 minutes.
Boy, love if they're red hot. You'd love that.
They didn't do that in your day, did they, Keith? When you were trying to rehab an injury, you didn't.
No, you didn't go
9 or 10 at bats in a day.
No.
Now, wait a second. Is he in the same game, or did they move him to a different game?
No, he's in a different game against the left-hander. He was against the right-hander Manis before, now against the left-hander.
Yep. There's juggling David around there.
Ducks on the pond.
It's Murphy's dream game, isn't it?
Well, that's all he wants to do.
Is Murphy getting as many at-bats as David? There's a grounder to short. Don't know the outcome. Meanwhile, Hefner gets a second strike on Descalso, and we are told by our sources on the backfield that Wright was out at first.
First baseman caught it.
This time.
Okay, good.
So David's at 3 at-bats. Reached on an error. Flied out and now grounded out. And the breaking ball by Hefner blowing in 2-2. Last year, Descalso and the guy on deck, Pete Cosma, big postseason heroes for the Cardinals. It was Descalso who had that huge hit against Washington in their Game 5 comeback. Wright gets the out. Davids gets the out at second, and the return throw by Quintanilla this time is in time, and the Mets turn the 3-6-1 double play. And David Wright having his excursion for the afternoon. Done with his at-bat on one field, head for an at-bat on another. Omar Quintanilla leads off the home second inning against Adam Wainwright. And Omar takes a strike. It's been a terrific camp for Quintanilla, who beat out Brandon Hicks for the backup infielder's role. At least the first backup infielder's role. We don't know how many backup infielders the Mets will need on opening day, depending on the status of David Wright and Daniel Murphy. Wainwright jams him 0-2.
They'll probably know the status of both better tomorrow, right? When they come to the ballpark, how they feel after all these at-bats.
Well, Murph played 7 innings yesterday, so that would make you think that he's ahead of Wright. But David played enough earlier in spring training that he might not need as many at-bats. Remember, Murphy has not had a Grapefruit League at-bat all spring. Hurt himself a good 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
And is still trying to fight his way toward opening day.
Well, I talked to Daniel in the clubhouse before the game, and he said he's going to be ready. Of course, he's going to say that. But then I asked the question, you played 7 innings. How do your legs feel? How did they feel in those 7? Well, they got a little tired. So he's got to build up some stamina.
Well, remember, about 2 weeks ago, he played 5 innings in the field in a minor league game, didn't bat, and it caused a setback. So the nice thing to see is that Daniel's able to go out there and play 2 days in a row.
Now, this may sound goofy, but it's true. You can do all the conditioning you want. And I used to run long distance in the off season, and I used to run about 4 to 6 miles 5 days a week. There is no substitute, no matter what shape you're in, folks, to go out there on a hot day and play 9 innings, standing with the cleats on, and just standing around, getting in a squat position to get ready to field your position. There's no substitute for that. And that's why the last 10 games of spring training, managers start playing their everyday players 7 innings and 9 innings the last week to build up that stamina.
7th pitch coming to Quintanilla, and the curveball hit out to center field for Jay. And that's the first out.
You know what? You make a good point, Keith. When you think about it, you're getting in that ready position, squat down 150 to 200 times a game.
Right. And I didn't have orthotics. Well, I always played in my regular sole. What a stupid thing. I thought if I'd have played in orthotics, it would have been so much better. I wear orthotics now, but the players wear orthotics, which are those, they get a cast of their foot and just support their arches. It just makes a world of difference.
Well, especially playing on AstroTurf like you did.
Yes.
Would have made a huge difference. Hefner chops one back to Wainwright. And there are 2 down.
I remember the beginning of spring training, because you wouldn't wear spikes during the off season. I'd always get a couple, I don't know if you got them, bone bruises on the bottom of your foot from the cleat coming up into your foot.
I never
would feel
had
uncomfortable.
that.
Yeah,
I never had that. But maybe it was that pitcher's toe you guys had to have. You know that? What would you call that thing?
You know, it's pitchers for a little
toe plates.
little weak in the
Remember the old-fashioned toe plates,
right.
the metal ones?
No, they had the leather ones before,
right,
there with the metal attachment.
Right.
And then they went to that hard rubberized surface that they would kind of glue on.
Here's Valdespin, who had an infield hit and scored the only run of this game. And he takes a strike, and he entices the third baseman Carpenter to come in against him. Here's Daniel Murphy on one of the backfields. Let's see, he's in the right-handers game.
That's right.
I'm trying to differentiate one field from another. Broken back grounder, that's just foul. And it's 0-2 to Valdespin. We'll send that one to the kindling pile. Thinking about David going back and forth between games out there. I guess when you're Captain America, you have to make the tour from coast to coast.
It reminds me in Little League when you're a scrubini and the coach's son is batting in every hitting group. That's what happens.
Wow.
Sounds like wait.
Scrubini. sounds like you still have a little anger about that.
No, because I was the coach's son.
I was never in that category.
So not anger, just a little residual guilt.
Exactly. Guilt, absolutely.
Wainwright making his second straight start against the Mets. Faced him last Thursday. Gave up 2 runs in 4 2/3, trying to stretch it out a little bit today in his last start before opening day, and he finds the inside corner to get Valdespin for his second strikeout. Wainwright's been concentrating on that inside corner against the lefties. Here's David Wright's 4th at bat of the day. A little pop up. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it?
Opening day at Citi Field this Monday. The first 25,000 fans receive a 2013 magnetic schedule courtesy of Sportsnet New York. Purchase opening day tickets at Mets.com.
Not quite a beach day here in Florida today. It's all the way up to 62 degrees, though, which, you know, by the standards of the way that weather's been in the Northeast lately, sounds appetizing. But it might be a little chilly in the water today.
Colder tomorrow.
Colder tomorrow. We have a night game tomorrow.
It's going to be very muy frio.
So you have a new jacket to wear.
I do. I forgot my jacket, so I had to go down to the Mets, what do you call it?
Commissary?
Whatever it's called. I went down to the clubhouse and asked Kevin Kurst for a jacket, and everything got shipped up today.
I'll say it.
All the extra stuff. So I went into the fan shop and.
Oh, you went in with the fans? You bought yourself a souvenir?
I contributed to Fred's pocketbook.
Quintanilla throws out Cosmo for the first out of the third. So you were down amongst the people.
Of course. I'm a man of the people.
Did they give you a discount at the
no, they didn't.
fans?
I had to pay full price.
Top dollar.
That's all right. I'm Elmer Gantry. Come on.
Here's Wainwright, who earlier in his career was a pretty good hitter, but his hitting skills have taken a tumble as his career has gone along. That happens to pitchers every now and then.
You know what? You know what's interesting about pitchers hitting? Ian Kennedy, who broke out 2 seasons ago with his finest season, they asked him, you know, what's different this year? He said, you know what? I have to hit. I realized the pitcher, it's really hard to hit. And he said it made him more confident and more aggressive.
Curveball from Hefner gets him ahead of Wainwright, who was 8 for 66 last year, 121, but lifetime 204, which is more than respectable with 6 home runs.
This is what happens, Gary. If you can hit, then they start spinning the baseball, and you don't see any fastballs anymore. That's what happens.
That's what happened to Hefner. Remember, he had a home run in his second major league at bat against Blanton last year.
Well, Wainwright gives this one a wide the other way, and it's off the fence. Here comes Bird's throw, and Wainwright has to hustle to get to second base with a double. So I impugn his hitting skills, and Wainwright makes a liar out of me. Takes one the other way for 2 bases.
Well, smart hitting here. The flags are blowing out hard to right field. Almost went deep. Stiff northern breeze.
Well, came right to Bird's bare hand off the wall after almost going out of the ballpark. So the third hit for the Cardinals off Hefner. Wainwright in scoring position for John Jay, who took the first pitch of the game the other way for a base hit. His first time up. And the curveball at his feet for ball 1. Anyway, by the time the game's over tomorrow night, we might be down in the 40s. Which, you know, the fans here in Florida, the ones who live here,
well, they'll be decked out.
They'll be in parkas and ski caps and
toques, the whole thing.
I'm bringing my gloves, I'll tell you that.
What are you going to do?
You turn me on to them, Gary.
What are you going to do when the team goes to Minnesota and Colorado? How are you going to handle that one?
I'll have my Thomas Jefferson jacket. I'm going to bring a hat, too. It's going to be cold.
Yeah, the Mets are going to face a little bit of cold weather the first few weeks of the season. They start at home with 6 games at home, 2 of them at night. Then they go to Philly for 3 night games, and then that about as cold a weather trip as you can have in April to Minnesota and Colorado.
Well, Colorado you never know. It could be 70 there. You never, or it could be a blizzard.
Nice. Jay rips one into right. Let's see if Wainwright will stay at third. He will. Jose Akindo's going to take no chances with his ace pitcher. And so, with 1 out, the Cardinals have runners at first and third.
Well, he inside out of the first base hit the other way. This one he gets to barrel the bat out. Knows what he's doing up there. He's a nice young player.
He has really blossomed, hasn't he? From a school that's produced a number of pretty good hitters, the University of Miami. Pat Burrell, Ryan Braun. Here's Matt Carpenter, grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up. And takes the changeup outside for ball 1. This is the 5th at bat for David Wright. And he pokes one up the middle for a base hit. So that's David's first hit in 5 at bats.
Taking advantage of those minor league shortstops.
He's playing with the full. And Hefner gets a generous call from C.B. Buckner, 1-1. Matt Carpenter looks like he is slated to be the opening day second baseman for the Cardinals, although if now with Freese out, they might move Carpenter over to third and play Descalzo at second, at least for the short term. I don't think that Freese is going to be out much more than about 10 days to start the year. He had some back issues as Hefner buries one in the dirt and Ike Davis pulls it out. Freese had a cortisone shot in his back yesterday, and they were thinking they might have him ready for opening day, but today they decided they're going to go on the safe side and just put him on the disabled list.
Pretty much straight up. Back for double play. Carpenter had a nice season for the the Cardinals last year. 114 games, slightly under 300 at bats at 294.
365 on base percentage.
Drove in 46 runs in 114 games.
He's a Horned Frog.
TCU, right?
And Hefner struggling on the corners, now behind 3-1. Alan Craig waits on deck.
Well, very similar to his last start, which was against the Cardinals. Hefner struggling with his breaking stuff to get it over the plate and just missing with his fastball. So his control's been off his last 2 starts.
He walked 3 in 5 innings in that last start, which is very unlike Hefner. And Carpenter gets one out to center field. That should get the run in. Wainwright tagging at third. And he'll come in to score. Jay holds at first. Sacrifice fly for Carpenter to tie the game at 1.
Well, up and down this lineup for St. Louis, they're hitting in spots, driving runners in, doing the little things. That's something they always do.
And they're going to be without Furcal, their starting shortstop, for the whole season. He'll be out for the year. Furcal has just been a guy that's been injured his whole career. Quite a talented player. That was an elbow, am I correct?
Yep, elbow surgery, which cost him the end of last year. They decided to try and rehab it without surgery, and then as this season got closer, it became apparent that he was going to need that surgery that would cost him the season. Of course, the Cardinals were able to plug that hole. They brought up Cosmo last year, and he did a very nice job late in the season and in the postseason as well, as Craig breaks his bat. Quintanilla flips the glasses. Here comes Neuenhuis, and he makes the play. Neuenhuis charging hard, and he looks like it's all healed now. First difficult play he's had to make since coming back from that knee injury, and handled it with no problem.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. Citi is offering card members the opportunity to enjoy VIP experiences at select Mets games at Citi Field in 2013. Visit CitiPrivatePass.com to learn more. Justin Turner takes a strike as we start the bottom of the third. Turner flied to left his first time up. Turner playing third base on the big field today, while the man he is understudying for, DH, is on the backfield. Nice pickup by Carpenter on the backhand, and good footwork by Craig at first base to tag out Turner one away.
Well, nice play all the way around. Got plenty of time to come off the bag and make the tag. Nicely done.
What I like about this play, Keith, a lot of third basemen stop, take their time, and try to fire it over there. If you get rid of it quick like that, it allows you not to have a perfect throw.
Well, you can do it either way.
Yeah.
As long as the throw gets to anywhere in the vicinity.
As a first baseman, would you rather that the third baseman get rid of it quickly, give you time to adjust?
Doesn't matter.
How about for like a normal first baseman?
Well, that's right. We're talking about snap reflexes here.
Well, David Wright took 5 at bats, scored a run after his last base hit, and it looks like David is going to take the show into the clubhouse now.
Pied Piper.
He really is, isn't he? Mike Davis lifts one out to right field. It's got a following wind, but not deep enough. Beltran back to get it, and that's the second out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is also brought to you by Toyota. Buy a Toyota right now and save big. To learn more, visit Toyota.com. By Delta and by Jeep. The Jeep Showcase event is going on now. Come see what's new and get a great deal on a new Jeep brand vehicle today. So 2 quick outs for Adam Wainwright in the third inning, and now Marlon Byrd, who flied to center his first time up. Mets got a run in the first on a Lucas Duda RBI double. Cardinals tied it in the third. And Byrd fouls off the cutter, 0-1. Marlon Byrd, now 35 years old, had a lost season last year. Chicago, Boston, .210 batting average, 50-game suspension.
Wainwright looks pretty good. He looks like he's just picking his spots, Ronnie.
Yeah, he was sharp in his last game against the Mets also on Thursday. Just instead of that 93 Gary was talking about before, he sinks it, he cuts it, good breaking ball, and a little change up to the lefties.
It's always fun to watch pitchers who have good stuff, good command, and know what they're doing. Because it really is an art. You think about it. How many feet and inches are they away from home plate, and to be able to put the ball where you want, different pitches, it's an art.
And it also is testimony to the way the Cardinals have developed their pitchers. I mean, they knew what they had in Wainwright after they got him in a deal with Atlanta, but they put him in the bullpen to start, and they've done that with a number of their young pitchers. Lance Lynn, a couple of years ago, was in the bullpen. Last year had a breakout season as a starter. And, you know, you think about all the young pitching talent that the Mets have and all the tortured discussions that have gone on about where to slot some guys, bullpen or starting rotation. Cardinals seem to have figured that out about how to use their young pitchers.
Well, Shelby Miller, who's going to be in the rotation, he was in the bullpen much of last season. So, yeah, they have no problems with having a young player up, and if they're going to use their innings and not get them over that 150, 160, they'll use them in the bullpen.
This year, the Cardinals had a 5th starter battle between Shelby Miller and Joe Kelly, who came up last year, and they said straight out the loser goes to the bullpen. And so Kelly, who's a starting pitcher of the future, will be in the bullpen for the Cardinals this season, at least to start. Byrd pops one up down the right field line, and that'll go out of play.
And the other advantage, especially for Adam Wainwright, is that, and he might not ever throw a pitch in a major league game again, he was under the tutelage of Chris Carpenter, who you could not find a better person, a guy that wants to help younger pitchers, and he got a lot of help. And when you watch Adam Wainwright throw a little bit, if you didn't know it was him, a lot of his mannerisms look like Carpenter sometimes.
And now Carpenter may be done. He's going to miss all of this season with shoulder issues, and whether he'll be able to come back very much in question as Byrd rifles one to deep left field. Back goes Taveras, and that ball hops on the warning track and over the fence for a ground rule double. Well, Bird has hit some balls awfully hard to left field this year on the wrong days. And this was another one. Got hung up in the wind because he hit the tar out of that.
Oh, Bird likes the ball down and out over the plate. And that's a 3-2 count right there. 2 outs, fastball. And he just turned on that one. He's been going the opposite way. There you see the flags going out to right. So he continues his beautiful spring.
That's 7 extra base hits for Bird this spring. And now Lucas Duda, who had a double his first time up to drive in the only Met run. And Wainwright has been given the left-hand hitters a consistent dose of inside. This will be his 50th pitch of the afternoon. And he gets even on Duda 1-1. Yeah, let's see. Well, there's going to be Murph in the middle of a double play. Look at that.
And you know what? When you turn 2, you're also, he's testing that intercostal muscle there. You got to do a little pivot there and a little trunk twist. Good curve, huh?
He's always had that.
Yeah, he has. That looks eerily similar to one taken 7 seasons ago by his teammate in right field.
Which just goes to show if he'd swung, the result might have been the same. And there's another one, and that just missed, and it's 2-2.
Well, I'm sorry, Ron. But what I've seen this spring, the book on Duda is breaking ball. They've been pounding fastballs in, predominant breaking ball.
Eerily similar to how they pitched Ike Davis the first 2 months of the season last year.
And Ike, late last year and early this spring, has shown an ability to lay off the breaking ball late.
And Duda laces one into right center for a base hit. So he got a 3rd straight curveball, and this one he's able to put out a 2-out, 2-strike hit to give the Mets a 2-1 lead.
Well, nicely done, Lucas. Curveball, and he wanted it on the outside. That ball was down, but it had too much of the plate. I'm sure he wanted to get it down and away, but nice hitting by Lucas.
So the Mets with a couple of 2-out hits, a double from Bird, a single by Duda to go back in front 2-1. And now John Buck, who was hit by a pitch his first time up.
You know, guys, the hit to Duda is one of those where as a pitcher you're kind of kicking yourself. You say, you know what, I went to the well once too often. I needed to mix in a different pitch there.
Well, let me ask you, Ronnie, when you throw that curve a lot, if you throw too many in a row, is it inevitable that you're going to get one where you don't want it?
It's hard to throw a breaking ball 3 or 4 times perfect where you want to throw it. Now, Wainwright, he not only throws it for a strike when he has to, but also he knows how to pitch out of the strike zone with it. He was just trying to backdoor Duda, hoping he was looking, but a better 2-strike approach from Lucas.
Well, that is, Gary, if pitchers could do that, there'd be no 300 hitters.
Yeah.
Might not be any 200 hitters.
Well, that's true. 200 might be the bar, you know?
Well, if you think about it, what's the major league average with 2 strikes? It's right around 200.
That's right.
Maybe even less. Game'd be awfully boring. Be like 1968 all over again.
That's right.
Two and two to Buck. And the curveball bounced slowly down to third. And Carpenter with the overhand toss to end the inning. But the Mets grabbed the lead on Duda's 2-out RBI hit. 2-1 New York after 3. Jonas Schwartz and Joe Beningo will have the latest news from the NCAA tournament, plus exclusive Mets player and coach interviews straight from Port St. Lucie on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5, only on SNY. Second at bat for Carlos Beltran, who grounded out to second base his first time up. Swinging the 3-0 pitch, so he's right at midseason form. Beltran, who broke his toe a month ago, says that he cannot injure it any further at this point. He just has to play through the pain. And today is the first time that Carlos has played in the field since coming back from the WBC. A ball and a strike. Beltran did an amazing job of staying healthy last year. He played in over 150 games,
yes,
which, if you think about where he was 2 years ago and how gingerly the Mets had to handle him the first part of that 2011 season, is really remarkable. Oh, Hefner goes down in a heap. And he is holding his arm.
Oh, that's his pitching side, too.
I thought he got him right on the right elbow, but. Oh, boy.
That's about the last thing that Jeremy Hefner or the Mets wanted to have happen. Tried to get out of the way, and I think you're right off the point of the elbow. He's coming out of the game, certainly. And with the Mets already down 2 starting pitchers, one of the men who is scheduled to fill in that starting rotation, all of a sudden sees the beginning of his season very much in question.
Yep. Ice and X-rays.
So Hefner goes off, hit by the batted ball. We'll be back to Port St. Lucie in just a moment. '23-year-old Randy Fontanez, who has come over from the minor league side, will come on to pitch after the injury to Jeremy Hefner knocks him out of the game. Take another look at Carlos Beltran's one hopper off the elbow of Hefner.
Really just trying to get out of the way. As you can see him get out of dodge, lifts up that right arm, and to me it looked like he hit right off the end of that elbow because he grabbed it immediately.
That can't be good.
We talked about in the open, didn't we, Gary, that the strength of the Mets team, when you looked at it, with that hard shot by Beltran, was going to be their starting pitching, and now it just
Well, you've got Neese and Harvey and G in place, but all of a sudden the rest of the Mets rotation very much up in the air. And as Fontanez, a 23-year-old from the University of South Florida, continues to warm up as long as he needs, I think it certainly has to open the question of whether the Mets would be better off putting the financial considerations aside and think about Zach Wheeler as an earlier option rather than a later option this season. Now, look, the financial circumstances are well known. If you start a rookie in the major leagues, it speeds up his clock, brings his arbitration a year early, as it did with Ike Davis, brings his free agency a year early, and that costs the organization money down the road, no question about it. But the question is this organization at the point that it's at right now, and I'm not advocating for one side or the other, but it certainly is a question that has to be asked. Are they better off filling in with somebody else from their system, or are they better off taking their best prospect, giving them the ball, and saying, let's go?
Well, I think all things being equal, if you had healthy pitchers, I think, yes, send him down to AAA for 10 starts or whatever you think he needs as far as seasoning. If you talk to anybody, and we talk a lot of the scouts here, no one's seen an arm like his, no one has seen him. They think he's ready. What does that mean? I don't know. I just know that extenuating circumstances have happened, and it's not only us in the booth thinking about it. It's not only papers writing about it. It's people on the team. The teammates itself are saying, boy, give us a better chance with Zach Wheeler on that mound 30 times this season.
Bring him up.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was instructive hearing what Sandy Alderson said the other day when Travis d'Arnaud was sent down. He said, look, you know, he could use some more seasoning. Certainly the prospect of arbitration status and free agency status is a consideration. But, Sandy said, if John Buck gets hurt tomorrow, Travis d'Arnaud is going to be here and going to be our #1 catcher. And so why doesn't the same apply in this circumstance?
I think Keith and I are saying the same does apply.
And, you know, the financial considerations have changed over the years. But both of you guys remember 1984.
Yeah,
he had a 19-year-old pitcher who not everybody thought was ready to pitch in the major leagues, and turned out quite good and was.
And I think there were a lot of young pitchers on that staff in '84, me included, that maybe '85 and '86, those wonderful seasons, wouldn't have happened if we didn't have some of success and take some beatings in '84. It's part of it.
Yadier Molina had an infield hit his first time up, and Fontanez misses low, 1-1. Randy Fontanez pitched last year in Savannah and here in Port St. Lucie, mostly in Savannah, which is low A ball, at a combined record of 3 and 4, 4.66, his second professional season. Scoreboard said 140 miles an hour, but I don't think so.
It's a Sid Finch.
Jeez.
Fontanez, a Florida native from Oviedo, Florida. Any idea where that is?
I don't.
140. It's very impressive. Runner goes, and it trickles away from Buck. A stolen base for Beltran. Beltran running on that injured toe appears to be okay.
So Carlos must feel like he's 75%.
Why do you say 75?
Good.
Carlos had 13 stolen bases last year. So he's at second with nobody out, and a 3-1 count to Molina with Oscar Taveras on deck. And of course we'll get a medical report on Jeremy Hefner just as soon as one is available. And there's ball 4, so Fontanez walks the first man he faces. It'll be tough for a kid coming over from the minor league side. Pitcher gets hurt in front of him. He had not been warming up, so he has to do all his warm-ups from the mound, and inevitably you rush to get ready, don't you?
Well, I think you rush to get ready, but the other thing is you're down there, you're sitting next to maybe some of the veterans, you're soaking it all in, you're feeling great because you're not on the other fields with the minor leaguers, and you're in front of a lot of fans, and the next thing you know, the phone rings and your heart rate goes up to about 125.
and you're facing Yadier Molina.
That's right. I don't care if you're a minor leaguer and the guy got you up, or the manager got you up, and you knew you were going in. You're going to be nervous.
Yeah.
Oscar Taveras takes outside. Taveras, who was a late addition to the lineup, lined out to right field as only at bat. He was put in when Matt Holliday was scratched with some tightness in his left side.
Well, he's a cutter and slasher, this young man. You said, Keith, you were giving me a stat on Taveras last season. Not a guy that struck out a lot in the minor leagues.
477 at bats last year in Double-A, 56 strikeouts. That's impressive. That's what you look for too. In minor leaguers, the strikeouts is an important stat.
It's like walks for pitchers.
Toward the gap in left center field, closing hard is Neuenhuis, but he won't get there. Beltran will stop at third, and the Cardinals have the bases loaded. So Taveras finding some green grass in left center. Fontanez is phase two, giving up a walk and a hit, and now the bases are full.
Well placed little sinker, went right with it. I don't know what Turner's thinking here. It's not his job to be the cutoff man. It's Ike's job. Ike's there to do the cutoff. And Turner's vacating third base. You don't want to do that.
So now the base is loaded and nobody out, and Daniel Descalso the batter. That's a play at the infield. Back looking for a double play at second and short. And Descalso fights one off foul.
Interesting that their Mets are opting to play in at the corners very early in a ball game with a one-run lead. Ike's kind of in nowhere's land. Get back up. Left-hand hitter. Get deep. There you go. He's backing up.
The one place, too, is Lucas Duda in left field with the wind blowing in from left. Way too deep with Descalso on.
Pete Cosma on deck. Fontanez last year, 63 innings, 59 strikeouts, and here's a spot where he'd love to get a strikeout. Little flare off of the fists by Descalso when he broke his bat.
Well, Fontanez is pitching inside. I'll give him that.
Keith, you're the Florida guy. Where is Oviedo?
I have no idea.
Let me ask you a question. He just broke his bat, okay?
Yes.
How many bats you bring to a spring training game on the road?
Well, you bring your BP bat.
Okay.
I never packed my extra bats. It's always a clubhouse guy. So I always had around 4 bats.
Oh, really? Even spring training? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you bring 2, and after that, start borrowing Wainwright's bat.
What if you're like a minor league player is brought along for the ride?
You try to take one of those bats back with you.
Hey, no fooling.
Beltran,
no fooling.
Right?
Beltran at third, Molina at second, Taveras at first with nobody out. And Randy Fontanez can't get Descalso to chase, and it's 2-2. Located Oviedo. It's a little northeast of Orlando.
Very nice.
That's where Randy Fontanez is from. He pitched his college ball in Tampa at the University of South Florida. 2-2. Fouled away, which is not all that far from Fort Myers, which is the home of the newest, hottest college in the nation, Florida Gulf Coast University.
How about that?
Dunk City, Gary.
Dunk City. They've put it on the official stationery of Fort Myers just since the weekend. It says #Dunk City. Here's the 2-2, and Descalso lays off. They check at third, no swing, says Chris Conroy. Now full count.
Well, there's a lot of great tournaments, but none better than the NCAA tournament.
Well, Florida Gulf Coast, the lowest seed ever to make it into the Sweet 16.
I do not follow college basketball, And I love watching those tournament games. They're just fantastic.
Let me tell you, they're fun up close,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, right?
Here's the 3-2, and a walk forces in a run. So Fontenay's got ahead of Descalzo 0-2. Lost him to a walk. Beltran comes in with a tying run, and it's 2-2. So a tough spot for young Randy Fontenay, brought in after the injury to Hefner. He's faced 3 batters, yet to retire one, and Dan Warthen will bring some counsel from the bench.
Well, this has got to be an interesting thing. You could be a pitching coach coming out to talk to a pitcher that you might not have ever met before. And trying to get him to calm down, and I'm sure that's what it is for Randy Fontenay.
Well, I think it is make him put it in play. You might find a glove and you get double play.
Well, the Mets' injury woes continue to mount. This was a team with a lot of question marks going into spring training, and the question marks have just multiplied because of all the injuries that the Mets have suffered, starting with the unavailability of Santana, Murphy not getting in a spring training game, David Wright coming back hurt from the WBC. Now throw Jeremy Hefner into that pile, and all of a sudden the Mets will be limping into opening day.
Drive in the air to deep left field off the bat of Cosma. Did he get enough? Tuna back at the wall, and it's got a grand slam for Pete Cosma, and it's 6-2 St. Louis.
Well, so you've got a pitcher out there, Gary, who's struggling throwing the strikes. First ball, fastball, jump on it.
Well, Cosmo hit just 2 home runs in 72 big league at bats last year. Hit one against the wind, and he crushed it.
Well, you know that there's not the discussion between Dan Warthen and Randy Fontenay is going to be, hey, listen, young man, throw some strikes, get ahead. And Cosmo's in.
So it's turned into a nightmare here for this young man.
Walk, single, walk, grand slam. Still looking for his first out. And Adam Wainwright, who doubled to the opposite field his first time up, takes ball 1. And having trouble throwing strikes now behind on Wainwright. And I think the Mets are going to get somebody else up in the bullpen. You don't want this kid to get totally discouraged.
Breaker.
Well, that's one of the new deals this year in baseball. No bullpen phones.
That's right.
Have specially designed walkie-talkies, cell phones, whatever they are, to call to the bullpen.
Pretty soon the pitching coaches are going to be like the head coaches in the NFL with like a headset.
So Wainwright is on with a walk, the third one given up by Fontenay. And the Mets will get another arm up in the bullpen. Although, let's see, they gave us the additional players today.
Yeah.
Number 96 is infielder Adeline Rodriguez. So,
oh boy,
I assume that's not him.
Usually you don't go to the infielders till later in the game, but
so we've gone deep enough. Do you remember? Was it 2 years ago? We had a mysterious number 96 warming up in the bullpen.
That's right.
That was the day they signed Raul Valdez.
That's right.
And he came in the game and nobody knew who he was. Well, we have another mystery number 96.
Jay hooks one down the right field line. Bird won't get there, and it lands in the corner. Wainwright chugs along to third, and Jay pulls in at second base. And the Cardinals just having a festival right now against Randy Fontenay. Jay is now 3 for 3.
They're attacking him on the first pitch. Looking like a changeup. Up in the strike zone, not away enough.
my favorite high number game was a game I was watching you two do when we were doing away games in spring training.
Vero Beach.
Vero Beach, you guys were freezing, and 91 was on the mound, replaced then by number 91.
That was the second broadcast ever in SNY history. We had opened up the network the day before in 2006. And Keith and I went to Vero Beach, and we had no commercials.
Right. And before the game, we're lounging around the production truck, and there was a little swamp, not a swamp, but it was like a viaduct, small viaduct. Yeah. It was loaded with water moccasins.
Really?
Yes, there was around 5 of them in there. You missed it. I know how you are about snakes, so I didn't tell you.
And you, of course, are a big snake person.
I do not like water moccasins.
So that day started bad and got worse.
We actually had fun that day.
If I recall correctly, the game went about 14 innings. Maybe I'm just making that up. Carpenter with a base hit, and Wainwright comes in to score. And the ball gets loose momentarily, but no advance by Jay.
Oh, boy, it's a nightmare for this young man. I feel for him.
So it's a 6-run inning for the Cardinals, and they lead 7-2.
It's going to have an ugly line.
And that's going to be all for Randy Fontanez, who comes over to join the fray after Hefner gets hurt and is unable to retire a batter. He faced 6 batters and gave up 3 hits, or 7 batters, 3 hits, and 4 hits and 3 walks. Armando Rodriguez is the mystery man, number 96. He'll be coming in as Fontanez takes his exit. We'll be right back. Chris Carlin and Adam Shine will debate the day's NCAA tournament matchups, plus bring you live reports on the Mets and Yankees straight from camp on Loudmouths, presented by Caesars Atlantic City, weeknights at 6 on SNY. Not a good day at the office for Randy Fontanez as he comes over from minor league camp, comes on in relief of the injured Jeremy Hefner, faces 7 batters and fails to retire a single one. Now Armando Rodriguez, who pitched in AA and AAA last year in the Mets organization.
Well, watching him warm up, he is a big, burly, hard thrower. See if he can throw strikes here against Alan Craig.
He was in camp with the Mets last year, and we got to see him a couple of times. Did not get invited to spring training this year, but is coming over from the minor league side. Alan Craig, the 9th man to bat in the inning. And with runners at first and third, he fouls it back. The inning began with Jeremy Hefner on the mound. Carlos Beltran hit a sharp one-hopper back to the mound that struck Hefner on his pitching elbow. Hefner, we are told, has been taken to the hospital for x-rays. We'll keep you up to date.
With an ice pack.
6 runs home in the inning, still nobody out. Craig is 0 for 2, grounded out and flied out, and he pops one up. Should be playable. Valdespin.
That's his ball. Reminds me of Luis Castillo in Yankee Stadium there for a minute.
Oh, why do you have to bring that
Why
up?
would you say that? He caught the ball.
No, don't bring that up. At least wait till the middle of the season before bringing that stuff up. Come on. Drifting. That's what you're saying, right? The drifting part of it.
So 1 out. And now Beltran, who began the damage both literally and figuratively. You know, we were talking earlier in the inning about the holes that the Mets now have in their pitching rotation and the possibility of getting an earlier start for Zach Wheeler. There are other possibilities out there not in the Mets organization, and one of them became more wide open today when the Nationals, not unexpectedly, released Chris Young. Now, why Young decided to sign with the Nats in the first place, I'm not quite sure, with as loaded as their rotation was, but he had an opt-out, and so now he's out on the market again. And you know, with the job that Chris has done for the Mets the last couple of years, and they certainly had some interest in bringing him back at one point this offseason, you have to wonder whether they would be interested again.
Oh boy.
There goes Carpenter, and it's foul back. So the Cardinals doing some running. Beltran stole a base earlier in the inning, and now Carpenter was on the move.
You know, I think for Chris, and I'm not saying this is what happened, Gary, but sometimes when you sign with a team in spring training, there's a wink and a handshake that, you know, you're going to get 3 or 4 times out there in the mound, and maybe that's all that Chris wanted, was a chance to show that he was healthy. Now let's see if there's anyone out there that will take a chance.
Just give you a showcase.
Yeah.
One guy who is no longer on the market is the longest running free agent of the winter into the spring, and that's Kyle Loesch, who signed yesterday with Milwaukee. Had a tremendous year for the Cardinals last year, but because of the new free agent compensation rules, was on the market a little longer than expected. But Milwaukee had a crying need for a starter, and they gave up the 17th pick in the draft. The Cardinals will get the 28th pick in the draft. Loesch signing 3 years, $33 million with Milwaukee.
And he said he will be ready for the season. He's been throwing in simulated games. His most recent, a 90-pitch effort simulated game, which certainly is not like a regular game, but still pretty impressive.
Now a full count to Beltran with Molina on deck. Now Loesch and Michael Bourne were the 2 most prominent players who got caught in the new system of compensation. It was the reason why the Mets pulled out of the Michael Bourne sweepstakes, because they would have had to forfeit their first-round pick, and they were not willing to do that. Here's the 3-2, and Beltran walks. Second time he's been on base in the inning. But the Brewers got to the point where, you know, they felt it was worthwhile to give up the 17th pick in the draft. And what's interesting about that is that over the last few years, as more teams take maybe a little more informed approach about roster development and farm system construction, those draft picks have become more valuable than ever. And whereas a team might have not thought twice about surrendering a first-round draft pick for a quality free agent a few years ago, now it's very difficult for teams to envision themselves doing that. Molina has to turn out of the way, and Rodriguez struggling.
Well, this is what happens when you have young pitchers on the mound, is they overthrow, and you overthrow, they have no control of the baseball. Wainwright almost hit earlier in the inning, and here Molina brushed back also.
And I know Loesch's agent, Scott Boras, has been very outspoken about wanting to get that rule changed, and obviously there was self-interest involved there. Yeah. But you wonder whether it's something that's going to be revisited before next year.
Well, the one thing about Kyle Loesch, it's a good fit in Milwaukee, which has really become, in my estimation, a bandbox. Ball just jumps out of that ballpark, and he's a sinker ball guy. So a good fit for him in Milwaukee.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Rodriguez behind 2-0 on Molina. And Molina takes a big cut and pops it up. And they finally called the infield fly rule. The second base umpire never put up his right arm until the ball was caught. The first base umpire did. I'm not sure what Mike Estabrook, the second base umpire, was thinking. It was a routine pop-up all the way.
Well, don't get me started on infield fly rules for the Cardinals up at bat, but with the Cardinals here. Yeah, that's a play that, yes, the wind got it, but you knew that Valdespin was going to make that play.
I mean, honestly, Mike Estabrook, the second base umpire, put his arm up after the ball was caught. Now, of what value is that?
None at all. In fact, you got to get that done earlier to let the runners know.
I mean, the first base umpire, James Hoy, belatedly did put his arm up, but at least he did it early enough that the base runners could see, because after all, it's about letting the base runners know what the circumstance is. Here's Taveras, who takes the strike.
I think he did it because he saw that Estabrook did not. I think that's why the first base umpire did it.
Watch the second base umpire, Estabrook. Never puts his arm up. Finally, the first base umpire does. And look at Estabrook. Ball's in the glove.
Yeah, I think he just called me out.
I think he's, I don't know, he's with our graphics designer today, I guess, or whatever. I don't know.
Well, hey, he forgot how many men were on base.
Maybe. Or I forgot how many out there were. Why, are we having a problem with graphics today?
A little bit.
We've been able to pop up a few here and there.
I'm only kidding. Come on.
You thought the graphics operator was out of the tiki bar, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Taveras 1 for 2, batting with the bases loaded and 2 out. Actually hit the ball harder when he was retired in the second, a bullet to right. And then flared one to left center for his hit in the fourth.
Taveras does that thing that you see, I don't know all good hitters, but a lot of good hitters. He watches that ball all the way to the glove, even when it's a ball out of the strike zone.
Just 20 years old, #1 prospect in the Cardinals organization, and still in camp this late, which is unusual. Hits that one off the fists out to Neuenhuis, who has to hustle in late and dives and made the catch. Then it flips out of his glove, and they're going to say that he dropped it pulling it out, although I'm not sure that's the right call at all. That ball flipped out of his glove as he was lifting it to show. And if I were Mike Matheny and it were a regular season game, I think I might protest this. But Neuenhuis is able to make the play and finally end the.
Hi, Michelle. You coming up on. Dirk Neuenhuis, who made a diving catch to finally put the brakes on a 6-run fourth inning.
Leads off. Here's that catch. Great start. Look at the end of the play there. The ball flips out of his glove, and he was not taking the ball out of his glove. Technically, that is not a catch.
You have to have your hand in the glove trying to take the ball out. He should have probably stayed in that position as long as he could and let Quintanilla take it out of his glove.
Nice easy play for Descalzo. Throws out Neuenhuis, one away.
Well, it's spring training, and everybody's got dinner reservations tonight, I'm sure.
But stay in this position. Let Quintanilla take it.
We've seen that call in a major league game. It happened to Mike Cameron, 6 or 7 years ago when he was playing for the Mets. Caught a ball in right field, and the ball just dropped out of his glove before he could make the effort to take it out, and it was ruled in play. Here's Quintanilla, and he takes a fastball high from Wainwright. Now, it's a spring training game, so maybe it's a little bit different, but Wainwright was sitting around for an awfully long time that inning between 12 men coming to bat and the injury to Hefner. You have to wonder about him coming back here. That's booted by Descalzo.
Nice play by Estabrook. That's the best call he made all night. Right through the wickets. He was paying attention there.
But he didn't want to get hit.
And that was misplayed by Descalzo. He tried to go Olay. Backhand. Look at this. That'll get his attention.
Look at that ball. Hit him in the knee. I think it did.
Well, he just did not get in front of that ball.
You're talking about Wainwright as we finish up on this play. You're right. Not only that, I mean, it's great to be macho, whatever. No sleeves out there. A year and a half removed from Tommy John. Cold, windy day.
Armando Rodriguez bunts it past the third baseman Carpenter, and he's got a hit. Matt Carpenter came charging hard, too hard. And Armando Rodriguez has a base hit. How about that?
You always want to be controlled when you charge and giving up too much of the line. You always want to work from the line towards the pitcher's mound. That's both corners. Gave up way too much of that line.
So 2 aboard for Jordany Valdespin. Valdespin singled and scored in the first, took a call third strike in the second.
Is there a full moon or something? This is an interesting game so far.
Just a cool, windy day in Florida. I'm told we are in a full moon tonight, but it's daytime.
I'm going to go home tonight and stay inside.
Nice rip by Valdespin.
With the wind rushing out to right, he'd get the Mets right back in this game.
The funny thing about Matt Carpenter, watching him play third and watching him run past that bunt, he's a guy who's been moved all around the field, but he was originally a third baseman. That's supposedly his best position. He's supposed to play second base this year. He's played some first base, played some outfield. Was kind of shut out of third base because of the development of David Freese.
Well, Keith hit the nail on the head. You want to start on the line or close to the line at least so that your momentum is going towards first base.
Correct. And that goes for a first baseman too, because if you're fielding a bunt, you're trying to get the lead out either third or second.
Slashes one off the front of the dugout. Fortunately, there's a fence there. Otherwise, there might be another DL possibility.
The other thing, if you're Carpenter, you have to know who's on the mound. Wainwright's a Gold Glover. You want that guy to bunt it back to your pitcher.
I remember talking to David Wright about that a few years ago, relating to adjusting to have Yohan Santana on the mound, because Santana is so aggressive going after balls that are bunted along the third base line, and David said it changed the way he played third base on bunts. 0-2 to Valdespin with 2 on. Cues one out toward Cosma. Descalzo will not make the turn. No chance to get Valdespin. That ball was not hit hard enough. So they get the second out. Runners at the corners. Justin Turner. Get a complete recap of today's Mets-Cardinals Grapefruit League matchup, plus up-to-the-minute news, opinion, and exclusive video straight from camp on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, part of the SNY.TV blog network. So now 2 out runners at the corners for Turner, who was robbed of a hit on a nice play by Carpenter, making a backhand stop behind the bag his last time up. Wainwright gets it over, 0-1. Wainwright about to throw his 70th pitch of the afternoon in his final tune-up for his opening day start. Cardinals will open in a warm climate. They'll be in Arizona on Monday to open the season.
Nice.
Molina with the classic block.
He just smothers the baseball. You want to know how to do it?
That's not an easy play right there. That is just picture perfect fundies.
I mean, he is possibly a guy you would use as a training video in the future on teaching all your young catchers how to catch.
Turner socks one to left center. They were playing him very shallow. Jay goes back, and he has room to make the catch. Well, Turner socked it. Wind knocked it down. Jay caught up to it. Mets are turned aside at the bottom of the 4th. 7-2 St. Louis. Mets head to Citi Field to open the 2013 season this Monday against the Padres at 1:10 p.m. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com now for your opening day tickets. John Neese will be the opening day starter for the Mets. He'll get his final tune-up tomorrow night against the Astros here in Port St. Lucie. And the Padres have announced that Edison Volquez will be their opening day starter.
You probably had 2 choices there, Volquez and Clayton Richards.
Richards will be game 2, I would believe.
For Volquez, it'll be his 3rd opening day start in a row. He was their opening day starter in Cincinnati in 2011 and for the Padres last year after they got him in the big trade for Madelitos. Pitch taken low by Descalzo, 1-0. Volquez didn't have a great year last year, and he led the National League in walks, which is never a great endorsement for an opening day starter.
And also, if the Mets want to get any confidence, all I have to do is watch his last start against the Mets in San Diego, where he got nobody out. Or I don't think he got anybody out in that game.
He walked the ballpark,
yeah,
if I recall correctly. Descalzo walked to force in a run his last time up. Facing Armando Rodriguez, the third Met pitcher. Jeremy Hefner pitched well for 3, but then the first batter of the 4th inning, Carlos Beltran hit a one-hopper off Hefner's pitching elbow. He immediately left the game and is on his way for X-rays. Randy Fontanez came in and faced 7 batters, didn't retire any of them, and Rodriguez came on to finish up that 4th inning. Cardinals sent 12 men to the plate and scored 6 runs. Let's go back to that ball hit by Beltran.
I didn't realize our audio picked that up, huh? The ball hitting him on the bone of that elbow.
Shallow center, and Neuenheis has this one lined up. Descalzo retired one away. Ronnie, we talk about it a lot whenever a pitcher is in jeopardy like that. But you're so close to home plate. Yeah. Is there a particular strategy that you can employ as a pitcher to avoid A, getting hit, and B, getting hit on your pitching arm?
Well, what's pretty funny is that, they always call third base the hot corner. Keith over there at first base facing Willie McCovey, how quick that ball gets on you. But you're so close as a pitcher. And some pitchers just, their schooling early has not instructed a lot of them to get into a fielding position. Why? Most pitchers grow up striking everybody out. So, they're the best pitcher on the block until they get to this level, and then they're not the best pitcher on the block. So, if you're lucky enough to be able to do a Greg Maddux and get yourself in a fielding position, that's the best way to protect yourself. The other way to protect yourself on Hefner, and now it's a hard thing to do, when the ball's coming up, see how he's sideways? Turn the other way. Don't put your arm up. In fact, kind of turn so you take it off the back, not off the arm. But that's, it's a hard thing to do. That ball, like I said, was moving so quick. He's doing everything he can to get out of dodge, and he just didn't get that elbow down.
And it's almost like he was trying to turn out of the way, and the ball chased him. As Cosmo, who hit a grand slam his last time up, hits this one deep to left, but the wind knocks it down, and Dude is there to grab it for the second out.
Well, I think another thing, too, was that Bob Gibson's follow-through was, I think, such an influence. I know it was an influence when I pitched in school. Yeah. My father didn't know anything about it. He knew just the basics. But the follow-through like Gibson, well, Gibson was such a great athlete. Gibson was a great fielder, but he was so quick.
Yeah. Which is amazing because he basically had his back turned after he threw a pitch.
But he also got hit with a line drive that broke his leg. So he wasn't wasn't always in position.
That was off the bat of Clemente.
I think of Met pitchers. Tom Seaver always finished up in a nice position to field his position. Cruzman the same.
You did.
I had to. Yeah.
Mike Hampton. Fantastic.
That's right. My beginnings were as an infielder, so that helped. Is that I had learned how to get in ready position, so I took it on the mound with me. But not Dwight Gooden, there wasn't anyone that landed in the worst position, but how many balls were put in play?
Well, he was one of those guys that struck out everybody in high school and big leagues too.
That's right. There's another guy brushed back, Wainwright again.
I don't think there's any intent on the part of Armando Rodriguez. He's just a kid trying to figure it out.
Yep. Unintentional, but if you're the manager Matheny and you're number 1 pitcher, you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should pull the ripcord here.
Wainwright's already doubled and walked today. He scored 2 runs after I said his hitting wasn't as good as it used to be.
That's been talking loud.
Out to right field, and Bird puts it away, and so Rodriguez has the first 1-2-3 inning for a Met pitcher today. Halfway through, 7-2 St. Louis. A windy day. Nice day for sailing if you can take the speed.
Make sure you can handle that boom.
It's a good day to sail.
You want to dress warmly.
Yes.
Foul weather gear, no, but bundling up, yes. Mike Davis will lead off for the Mets against Adam Wainwright, who's thrown 71 pitches over the first 4 innings. Here's LaTroy Hawkins, who has made the ball club. The 40-year-old right-hander getting ready in the Mets bullpen. He's had quite a spring, hasn't allowed a run yet. LaTroy can still bring it. 40 years old. His fastball is averaging around 92 this spring. Mets have some veteran arms in their bullpen with the addition of LaTroy Hawkins. Looks like Scott Atchison is going to be on the team. Brandon Lyon to go with Bobby Parnell, who will be closing from day 1. Davis today has walked and fly deep to right, and he takes a strike at the knees from Wainwright. Well, David Wright has 5 at-bats on the minor league side today. His first game action since returning from the WBC with the injury to his side, and David told the writers who assembled at his locker after his performance that he felt no pain, that he felt just fine, and he's very optimistic about playing opening day.
Great. Interesting, the Cardinals here, no shift, Keith.
Yes, and you normally see it. So the Cardinals are a pretty traditional club, aren't they? They kind of are the old, like the Yankees of the National League. Nice pitch. I thought it was outside.
C.B. Buckner rings him up. Third strikeout for Wainwright.
And we remember now, too close to take. Remember how Ike was earlier in his career, always moaning and groaning to umpires. He's really cut that back. I think he learned his lesson.
Yeah, the first half last season, when things were going poorly, I think he learned that he needed to stifle it a little
You
bit.
get the umpires angry and you get that reputation. Don't think those umpires don't call each other or tweet. Now
umpires tweet.
They might tweet now.
Tweeting umpires.
They're not allowed to
Wait
tweet,
a second.
Either way, the word gets around the league, whether it's tweeting or emailing or phone calls. And anything close, they're not going to give it to you until you behave.
I think umpires are more Reddit.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Marlon Byrd a double and a run scored today. He's 1 for 2. And Wainwright teases him on the outside corner. That's a strike, and it's 1-2. Adam Wainwright, drafted by his hometown Braves in the first round in 2000, traded for J.D. Drew. You think that turned out to be a good deal for the Cardinals?
J.D. Drew and Eli Marrero, I believe, was the other. And then Atlanta sent Ray King, Wainwright, and there was one other player, I can't remember now, that was sent to St. Louis. But, yeah, I mean, one of the few Atlanta pitchers that got away from Atlanta.
Well, the Braves are doing okay with their young pitching again. How about Julio Teheran this spring?
Last outing, 6 innings, no runs, 10 punch-outs. We saw him here against the Mets, and he looked fantastic too.
They got rid of one of their prospects. Randall Delgado went to Arizona.
Right, the Upton trade. The Justin Upton trade. You have to specify now.
You know what happened to Teheran is 2 seasons ago he was 15-3 in AAA, and last year didn't make the team. They sent them down, and what happens for a lot of players who have had a career year in AAA, it's like you kind of hang your head. Like, what else do I have to prove in AAA? And it cost him a really indifferent season last year, but he has come back ready to pitch for Atlanta this season. He looks fantastic.
Line into center field, and Bird has his second hit of the day. So what you're saying is that Teheran used to be just conventional. Now he's got nuclear?
Yes.
By the way, the other player in that Wainwright deal was Jason Marquis.
There he goes.
Who the Mets will see in that opening series against the Padres. He's going to pitch the third game for San Diego. He just keeps hanging around, doesn't he?
He does.
And he keeps every winter he wants to be a Met, and it hasn't happened yet. Of course, Marquis, a New York kid from Staten Island. Lucas Duda, another good day, 2 for 2, double to left, single to right center. He's driven in both Met runs today, so Lucas's spring gets better and better as we get closer and closer to opening day. Pop up. Jay comes in. 2 out.
So the Mets open up Monday day game, opening day. Day off. Wednesday night game?
Night game.
And then Thursday day game.
Thursday day. Okay. And then the weekend, they've got
Friday night,
Saturday, and Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
That's Miami, right?
Miami.
Correct. I don't have game 2.
What?
I don't have game 2, and I do not.
Oh, look,
have
there's the pocket schedule. This spring training on the top line, and then the regular season on the bottom line.
So
Buck hits one out to center, and Jay reels it in to end the inning.
Taking a break already?
I don't have Sunday's game either. Getaway day.
You're pretty much on permanent vacation.
Oh, my April and May is murder this year.
Changes for the Mets as we go to the 6th inning. Mike Baxter takes over in right field for Marlon Byrd. And 40-year-old LaTroy Hawkins will be the 4th Met pitcher of the day.
Well, you mentioned it before, Gary. He's just been outstanding in spring training. Started a little later than most of the pitchers. Pitchers got ready, and as you can see, no runs given up so far.
He just keeps on trucking, doesn't he? I mean, you think about early in LaTroy's career, he was a starter in Minnesota. Then they tried to make him a closer, and he didn't really take to that role. And he's moved around a lot since then. But other than the year in Milwaukee when he was hurt, it was, 3 years ago, as that one slashed down to third off the bat of John Jay, and Turner throws him out. First time Jay's been retired today. But the last 2 years, he stayed in Milwaukee 2 years ago, and then with the Angels last year, he has been exactly what he needs to be as a guy in the middle of the bullpen.
Well, I think his secondary pitches have gotten better, especially his changeup. But you know what he has, Gary? Throws strikes, and he has courage. You know, when he comes in there, you know you're not going to lose a game because he's afraid of the situation.
Doesn't walk people. Last year, only 13 walks in 42 innings. There's Matt Carpenter, and he takes a fastball for a strike, and he still throws, 90, 92 miles an hour. So they always say the hardest thing to predict is bullpen performance from year to year. But when you get a guy like Hawkins who goes out year after year and performs at a certain level, you know what you're buying.
Well, that's what they said in the beginning, not the beginning of spring training, about 2 weeks in. Terry Collins and Dan Wortham both said that the back of the baseball card is going to mean a lot in selecting these pitchers, and Lyon and Hawkins have benefited from that. Not only that, but they're fine pitching.
Well, you know, we talk all the time about spring training competition, but at the same time, there's that old saying, don't believe what you see in March. So you've got that balance between what have you done in the past and what are you showing me during spring training.
And Hawkins is, like I said, has been just about perfect. And Lyon, really only his last outing was his bad outing this spring training.
Well, Lyon is due to be the setup man for Bobby Parnell at the beginning of the year. Oh, that quick pitch by Hawkins.
He's done that a couple times already this spring training. It makes you think that Rick Peterson has been involved with LaTroy Hawkins, who used to always teach that to a lot of the Mets pitchers.
Well, Rick was in Milwaukee, right?
That's right.
And LaTroy was there for a couple of years. Strike 3 call. So Hawkins paints the inside against Carpenter, and there are 2 out. Well, we mentioned David Wright talked to reporters after his 5 at-bats on the minor league side. Let's hear some of what David had to say.
I've been optimistic about opening day since, you know, I came back to St. Lucie and, you know, talked with the doctors and trainers about the diagnosis. So, you know, as I said yesterday, it's kind of the same thing today. It's another step closer. So, you know, still very optimistic.
So Captain America closer to flying.
What more can he say? What more could he add to that?
I believe he's done.
Well, he's empowered because he's got his trustworthy aide, Jay Horowitz, in that outfit.
Jay's tweets have been something else this spring, let me tell you. Alan Craig takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Between the tweets and the pocket calls, Jay's got more publicity this spring than he's gotten in 30 years.
He was a little short on his history, though, but he's taking care of that situation. With the 20-game winners.
Yes.
Happens.
Well, he was just trying to praise Frankie V. I don't think he was trying to diss R.A., but I think he's made amends. Hit a mile high off the bat of Craig. And Nieuwenhuis circles in under it and puts it away. And that's 8 in a row retired by the Mets bullpen as Hawkins pitches a 1-2-3 inning. Midway in the 6th, 7-2 Cardinals. Our old friend Ty Wigginton in to play first base for the Cardinals as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Adam Wainwright still out there, 85 pitches deep, and it's an interesting change in philosophy from what most organizations do with their starting pitchers. Most in their final outing of spring training don't push their starter that high.
I would always want to get to 100 pitches, Gary, the outing before this one, and then the last one, you know, no more than 75 pitches, because you want to, I don't know, you want to go into your first start with your full arsenal ready to go. I don't think you need to push it any further than that, but the Braves have been doing this, pushing their starting pitchers. Cardinals also.
Kirk Neuenhuis in his first start in the field since bruising his knee 3 weeks ago. Has had to make a diving catch in center field. At the plate, he's gone 0 for 2. Struck out and grounded out.
Well, a lot of wind playing havoc, and you know, it's a spring training game. That ball popped out of his glove late, but ruled an out.
Fights this one off behind third, and that'll fall in no man's land for a base hit. So Flair single for Neuenhuis to start the bottom of the 6th.
You know, Gary, I was thinking, you said that the Cardinals are opening up on Monday in Arizona. That gives them an extra day. So maybe that's why they're lengthening him, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So he'll throw twice on the side before his start on Monday. Jonathan Neese, of course, going tomorrow. Will be on 5 days rest when he faces the Padres.
Here's Omar Quintanilla, who's 0 for 2, flied out and reached on an error. Quintanilla getting the start at shortstop today. It's been a very confusing spring training with the bat for the Mets starting shortstop Ruben Tejada. Ruben hit a home run in his first spring training at bat against Steven Strasburg, but has done very little hitting since, and you have to wonder whether those two things are connected.
Well, I will say I've watched a lot of the games that Tejada has started, and you know, we know when he's struggling, hits a lot of balls in the air, a lot of fly balls to the infield and outfield, and that's where he was stuck most of spring training. But the last couple of starts have been much better for Ruben, even though he doesn't have a lot to show for it.
A lot of guys sometimes have bad springs, and this April comes and they're off to a hot start.
And vice versa, right? The guy who's hitting 450 can't buy a hit in April, so you never know.
It's always about finding your rhythm the last week, 5 days before the season starts. If you haven't found it and you had a bad spring, you can't make it up in spring training, even though you don't have maybe have 50, 60 at bats. You can't make it up in 5 games. But as long as it's all about getting your rhythm right as the bell rings.
Here's what I think. I think Ruben Tejada is the last guy the Mets need to worry about. Punched on the ground to third. Carpenter's only play is to first to get Quintanilla. And Neuenhuis goes to second.
Well, the sky was falling after the last 2 starts of, not the last 2 starts, Dylan G. He had a great start yesterday.
That's right.
He had 1 start, but he couldn't find the plate.
I was here for that, and I think he walked 4, hit 2 batters, and had a tough time of it. His next start didn't start off very well, and then his last inning he struck out the side, said he figured he found something, and then his last start yesterday, 6 innings, no runs, 7 punch outs.
Do you think something like that, Ronnie, is mechanical?
I think that as Carpenter stays with it, I think you're talking about a young man that had a life-threatening surgery last year and is coming back and probably too amped up and was overthrowing. And, you know, it was yesterday that he finally kind of didn't try to make his breaking ball break 8 feet instead of just letting it go, and found the strike zone. So good for him. With the bad news with the starters, you needed some good news from Dylan G, and you got it.
Mike Baxter was retired in his first at bat on that foul pop-up. And now Valdespin up for the 4th time. 1 for 3 on the day.
Wainwright has been pounding the left-handed hitters for the Mets inside. It's almost like I'm working on the cutter, working on that fastball, and I'm pitching the left-handers in.
Really right from the first batter of the game.
And that sets up that little curveball he likes to throw in the outside corner, and that little change he threw right there.
Back inside. There we go.
Valdespin pops one up. Wigginson retreating, gives way to Descalzo, and that retires the side. So 6 strong innings for Adam Wainwright. 7-2 St. Louis as we go to the 7th. To wind to a close, just 6 days to go till opening day. Well, this time, just about everybody who's been in spring training since early February is itching to get north into the cooler weather. And today's just a warm-up for the cooler weather. That's kind of an oxymoron. It's 62 degrees today here in Florida. This is left-hander Chase Hutchinson on the pitch for the Mets. Over from the minor league camp, 7th inning. And Carlos Beltran turns around and bats right-handed and takes ball 1. So LaTroy Hawkins threw 9 pitches in a 1-2-3 inning in the 6th. And the Mets will be just thrilled if that's the template for LaTroy's season. Hutchinson pitched here in St. Lucie last year, mostly as a starter. Went 8-7 with a 4.10 ERA.
Little slinger.
Yeah, throws across his body.
A little short on him. Kind of rushes it.
Hutchinson from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Mets signed him as a non-drafted free agent. He's 23 years old. Beltran batting right-handed for the first time today. 1 for 2 and a walk. And he takes a strike. It was Carlos who hit the one-hopper back to the mound that struck Jeremy Hefner on his pitching elbow and knocked Hefner out of the game. Hefner was taken for x-rays. We're waiting for word. And Beltran's on with a leadoff walk. It's 5 walks today by Met pitchers. And now Yadier Molina will come up for the 4th time. So you can see Mike Matheny's getting serious about getting his team ready for opening day. 4 at-bats for his starters. Beltran's coming out. Adrian Chambers will come in to run for him. You know, in some ways, you look at the Cardinal roster, they're like the anti-Mets.
Plenty of outfielders.
Exactly.
Right? That's the opposite.
I mean, they've got guys who would be starters on a lot of teams who they can't find room for, like Chambers, who will be a backup, and how about Matt Adams? Kind of like Grizzly Adams, he hits the ball so hard.
Shane Robinson.
Molina's 1 for 2 in a walk. Chambers a speedster at first, and Molina hits it in the air to right, chasing Baxter back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Got it up in the jet stream. Yadier Molina with an opposite field 2-run homer, his first of the spring. And the Cardinals now lead it 9-2.
Keith, this is a take 2 and hit the right there today, isn't it?
It is. If you're a right-hand hitter and go the other way well, like Molina, just get a little lift. See you later. Just like that. Here it is. Ball away, or down the middle, and he played it the other way.
So the second home run for the Cardinals today. There's Oscar Taveras, and he takes inside. Taveras has hit the ball well all day long. 1 for 3. He was a late addition to the lineup, but Matt Holliday was scratched with some tightness in his left side. Bailing out, he lifts one into right, and Baxter will play this one. That's the first out of the inning. You can see where Hutchinson might be a little tough on left-hand hitters.
Well, he's a guy that you said, Gary, spent most of his time starting last season in single A, but could be a specialty lefty at some point if he gets that, works on that breaking ball.
Here's Daniel Descalso, 0 for 2. He also walked to force in a run. If you're a left-handed starting pitcher in the minor leagues and you don't have first-round draft status and don't have great pedigree, there's almost an incentive to becoming a relief pitcher, to dropping down. You can have a very long career being a guy who faces one batter at a time.
Yeah, he can pitch forever. But, you know, you think it's easy, but, you know, you can drop down, but you got to be able to, when you drop down, be able to control that breaking ball, be able to throw it for strikes.
Speaking of pitchers of that ilk, as this one's flared into shallow left, falling fast. Turner, what a beautiful play. Turner took a nice angle and then took a hard left and found it.
That's a nice play right there on a windy day. That is not an easy catch. Very nicely done.
So Turner helps Hutchinson to a second out, and now Pete Cosmo has the biggest hit of the day, a grand slam off Randy Fontenez back in the 4th. Anyway, talking about left-handed specialists, yesterday Pedro Feliciano was told that he would not make the major league team out of spring training, and as a veteran minor league free agent, he had the option of declaring free agency or accepting a minor league assignment and $100,000 to take the minor league assignment. And Pedro took a few hours to think about it, and he is staying with the Mets organization. He will go to the minor leagues. And what the Mets need to see from Feliciano, as Terry Collins was talking about yesterday, is the ability to pitch back-to-back days and maintain his velocity.
And the velocity is one of the keys, because his last outing, he did not break 80 miles an hour. He hasn't thrown a fastball over 83. On Pedro's behalf, he's gotten everybody out.
Baxter reaches up to grab it. That ball just took off, and Baxter was equal to it as he takes a base hit away from Cosma to end the inning. 9-2 St. Louis in the 7th. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. Citi is offering card members the opportunity to enjoy VIP experiences at select Mets games at Citi Field in 2013. Visit CitiPrivatePass.com to learn more. By State Farm, today's State Farm agent of the day is Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat's office at patcawley.org. By Xerox, ready for real business. And by your tri-state area Volkswagen dealers, visit VWDealer.com. Changes for the Cardinals. Ryan Jackson is in to play shortstop. Second base, Greg Garcia is the shortstop. Adrian Chambers stays in left field. Oscar Taveras moves to right field. And the new pitcher for the Cardinals, lefty Nick Greenwood.
You see his minor league totals last year. 77 innings pitched, relieving and starting.
And quick pitches Justin Turner there and misses outside. Turner was stepping out. Terrific outing for Adam Wainwright in his last tune-up for his opening day start. 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, a walk and 3 strikeouts, 96 pitches. Turner's 0 for 3. And he hits this one down the right field line. That'll slice and go foul. Turner, then Ike Davis here in the 7th inning. Mets have another minor league lefty up in the bullpen. That is Hamilton Bennett, who is a side armor.
Sounds like a Supreme Court justice. Hamilton Bennett. What a name.
All players can have second careers too. That one skips away. I mean, if Whizzer White could be on the Supreme Court.
There you go. That's right.
Turner has a base hit. Chambers chases it toward the line. He'll hold Turner to a single. So Justin has his first hit of the afternoon. The Mets have their 8th hit of the game. Ike Davis coming up.
Ike's been getting a lot of playing time, playing deep into games.
Of course, last spring he was limited coming back from the serious ankle injury and the questions about the Valley fever. And as his bat has come around this spring, his defense has as well.
Now tomorrow night is our last broadcast from here, but the Mets have what, 2 or 3 more games left.
They have a home game here Friday, which we will not be televising, and then they go to Sarasota Saturday to play their last spring training game before they head north.
And they'll probably have a workout on Sunday. Well, most teams do they?
Well, last year the Mets, if I recall correctly, didn't have a day.
Right. They played the Yankees at the end of last preseason. I'm not sure.
Whatever it was, they went home and did not have a workout day. Coming into play at Citi Field for the first time with some new outfielders who had never experienced the dimensions before. They're playing a day game, so they don't really have any opportunity to get out there before the game and really do some work to learn the angles. Zach Lutz, you saw on the on-deck serve with a pinch hit. Nick Greenwood out of the University of Rhode Island. He's a Connecticut kid. Pitched in AAA at Memphis last year. 49 games. And a foul ball that knocks the mask off.
What town in Connecticut, Barry? Does it have it?
Trying to figure out who the catcher was first.
Okay. Rob Johnson.
Rob Johnson.
Oh, is that all Rob Johnson?
Yes.
Oh. Played for the Mets last year. Did a little pitching.
Yes. Outstanding pitching.
Double play ball right at Garcia. Returned by Jackson for the 6-4-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on. So the Mets take one step closer to wrapping up their Grapefruit League schedule in Port St. Lucie as they host the Astros in an evening matchup here at Tradition Field. Mets-Astros presented by Citi tomorrow at 6, only on SNY. It'll be our last look at the Astros for this year. The Mets don't play the Astros for the first time in their history. As they came into the National League with the Astros, who were then the Colt 45s in 1962. But now the Astros are an American League team. Very strange.
American League West. And I believe they open up in Dallas against the Rangers, I think. Am I correct?
Is that right?
I think so. Someone heard
rivalry game at the beginning of the year. Lutz hits one in the air well to center field, but Jay tracking it back to the warning track. Can't get to it, and it's out of here. A home run for Lutz. Or did it bounce over? It bounced. Okay. A ground rule double for Lutz.
This ball Jay did not factor in the wind there, and that thing just kept blowing it away from him.
So Lutz, who if David Wright were not ready for opening day, might well be the opening day third baseman. Gives one a long ride in his first at bat of the day. And now Lucas Duda, who's had himself a fine afternoon, a single, a double, and 2 RBIs. Hamilton Bennett getting ready in the Mets bullpen. In answer to your question, Nick Greenwood is from Southington.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anthony Recker, who came in behind the plate last inning.
And Gary, Sunday, March 31st is the first game of the season. It'll be your Rangers at Houston. I stand corrected.
Your Rangers?
My Rangers?
I didn't know you had a new allegiance.
This is the New York Rangers.
So they do the old Cincinnati traditional first game of the season, opening on Sunday night.
ESPN
correct
tradition.
I understand.
Which usurped the Cincinnati tradition many years ago.
Yes, it did.
Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, also opens with an interleague game, don't they? Don't they open with the Angels?
We'll look right here. Yes, they're home against could be Cueto and Weaver.
Fly ball deep right field, up in the wind. Back goes Taveras near the wall, and it's out of here. Lucas Duda with a 2-run homer. His 5th home run of the spring and his 3rd hit of the day. A 4 RBI afternoon for Duda. And it's now 9-4 St. Louis. Well, it's all changed in a hurry, hasn't it, for Lucas Duda?
Yes, it has.
Well, at the right time, too. Here we are winding down. Come on. 3 hits on the day.
Single, double, and home run. 4 runs batted in for Duda. And now Recker comes up for the first time. Certainly would appear as though Recker is going to be the backup catcher on the opening day roster behind John Buck. He's had a very good spring swing in the bat. Of course, it's all a matter of holding down a spot until Travis d'Arnaud is ready, because I don't think d'Arnaud disappointed in any fashion this year. Whether you talk about his offense, his defense, his maturity.
It's almost with his hustle and fine play. He got himself another 7 to 10 days in camp, didn't he? When they sent down a lot of the original youngsters, Zach Wheeler with that group, d'Arnaud stayed.
He's got a nice little stroke, too, doesn't he? Swung the bat real well all spring.
Recker hits one out to left. Chambers there to squeeze it. That ends the inning. But Lucas Duda with a 2-run homer gets the Mets a little bit closer. third hit of the day for Duda, his 5th home run of the spring. We go to the 8th, 9-4 Cardinals. Changes for the Mets. Richard Lucas is in to play first base. Danny Muno will play second base. The pitcher is Hamilton Bennett. 24-year-old left-hander deals a fastball strike to Ryan Jackson, who's up for the first time. Zach Lutz is in at third base, and in left field is Corey Vaughn. And now you're up to the minute. Jackson came in to play shortstop last inning. There's Bennett's record for the St. Lucie Mets last year. Had a good season, just 17 walks in 60 innings.
That's a good year right there.
And Jackson slugs one to the center for a leadoff hit. So the Cardinals have their 11th hit of the day. This is Tommy Pham coming up as a pinch hitter.
Number 96, Tommy Pham.
So Pham batting in John Jay's spot on the leadoff spot. Jay went 3 for 4 today, and he takes his breaking ball strike from Bennett.
Bennett was drafted in the 2010 amateur draft by the Mets. Tennessee Wesleyan College, which is in Athens, Tennessee.
Pham has played at Double-A the last 3 years in the Cardinals organization. 16th round pick back in 06, 25 years old. Grew up in Las Vegas. And he lines one right at Muno. The throwback to first. Lucas stays on the bag, and they get the double play. Nicely done by Richard Lucas to complete that line drive double play.
Second double play for the Mets in this game. Let's see if he stayed in the bag. Yes, he did.
He knew you were watching, Keith.
Spring training, I'm not so critical.
I wasn't even suggesting that you might be. I was just saying he was trying to impress you.
Oh, okay.
This is Jack Lemmerman coming up to pinch hit. Lemmerman, a 5th-round pick by the Cardinals out of Duke. 23 years old.
He's got a vested interest in the basketball, right?
Curveball for a strike. That was Dylan Owen up in the Mets bullpen. You know, early in spring training, they make more changes.
Yeah.
But usually it's guys who have names on their backs. Late in spring training, they've sent most of the backup players down, but then they bring minor league players with no names on their backs with the 80s and the 90s.
Wow.
So in some ways, the late spring training games are more of a challenge
well, yeah,
than the early ones.
It's kind of an audition for these younger guys to come over and get a taste, because the guys that have been sent down, they are now on their schedule, especially the pitchers, getting ready for their respective AA or AAA seasons.
Lemmerman was in the Dodgers organization last year. AA Chattanooga. Hit .233 with 7 home runs.
What was your most challenging minor league city? Which one did you not enjoy the most?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
There's not enough broadcast time left.
I asked you 2 outs too.
I can give you Midland, Odessa, Alexandria, Louisiana. Let me think here.
Yeah, but you didn't play those places. Those were road places.
Oh, you mean the home games?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not like Little Rock. And that's no offense. It was just the Texas League was enough to wear you out with all those
the bus trips.
The buses there. I had
a short fence to right field.
I was my second year in the minor leagues, and I really had a struggle year that year. It was not a fun year. I had 260.
Off the end of the bat, Bennett off the mound, runs it over to Lucas, and that retires the side. Nice inning for Hamilton Bennett. At least you weren't in a ditch in Little Rock.
Obviously, I wasn't paying attention.
Circle your calendar.
Subscribe to MLB.TV Premium today and watch over 150 select spring training games live. Plus, every regular season game live or on demand on over 250 mobile and connected devices. Visit Mets.com for details. All right, Greg Garcia moves from shortstop to second. Jake Lemmerman stays in the game at short. And that's Tommy Pham out in center field. I think Ryan Jackson has also moved over to third base. He had been at second, adding to the confusion. Nick Greenwood will pitch his second inning for St. Louis as Kirk Neuenhuis leads off. In the bottom of the 8th, Mets down 9-4. Neuenhuis 1 for 3 on the day, takes a strike.
Neuenhuis could use some knocks, couldn't he?
Well, he poked a single over the third baseman's head his last time up. His second hit in 25 at bats this spring. Well, I'm looking ahead to the start of the season for the Mets, and we've taken a lot of focus on what the Mets don't have, with the injuries and the uncertainty in the outfield. Here's what they do have. They have an opportunity to get off to a pretty fast start. They open the season at home. They open against a San Diego team that's going to be missing their best player. Chase Headley's out with a broken finger. And then they play Miami, which, let's face it, outside of Giancarlo Stanton, they're
completely revamped team.
They're very much so. And then their first road trip, they play in Philadelphia, which, the Phillies may be down, but they're certainly still formidable. But then they go to Minnesota and Colorado, two teams that are certainly trying to work their way up from the bottom. The Twins might have the worst pitching staff in baseball, though the Mets will probably run into Mike Pelfrey there, and that he'd certainly love to perform well. But I guess what I'm saying is they're not facing the toughest teams in the league over the first few weeks. So it gives them a chance to get their grounding as Neuenhuis strikes out for the first out.
Well, the one thing is that you'll be facing Philadelphia, though, after a week of play, so they will have made the turn in their rotation. So you're going to see their best pitchers, notwithstanding where is Doc Holliday and how he's pitching so far. And two new managers, Mike Redmond for the Miami Marlins and Walt Weiss, my old buddy, for the Colorado Rockies.
This is Matt Reynolds up as a pinch hitter, and he takes a strike. I noticed that the Rockies have scrapped the 4 starting pitchers 75 pitch limit after that experiment last year. They were fully committed, though, to staying with it, and then I guess had a change of heart. And in part, they thought that part of the problem with that system was that they had young pitchers in their rotation, including Drew Pomeranz. And what was happening, because they were pitching on 3 days rest, they couldn't throw full bullpen sessions. And that was hindering their development.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of working out the kinks is going on that bullpen and being able to work on your pitches with then 2 days rest to get ready.
So bad idea.
That everyone who tries to redefine the game and come up with a new game plan, it always comes up short.
Well, they're still trying to figure out the right game plan for Colorado. What do you do as far as your pitchers are concerned? What do you do as far as your outfielders are concerned? You look for power, you look for speed. Reynolds punches one the other way, and he's got a base hit. Tavares cuts it off, so Matt Reynolds has the Mets' 11th hit of the afternoon.
And in fact, when they had their glory years, or some of their best years, Dante Bichette was in the middle of that lineup. He's going to be the hitting instructor for that team. Listen, when they were great, they knocked the cover off the ball, and they had sinker ball pitchers as their starters, making them put the ball on the ground.
Led by Billy Swift. Well, if they can find a way to resurrect Larry Walker and Vinny Castilla and Andres Galarraga in their prime, then everything will be solved.
Not yet, although they've got a couple of good everyday players led by Cargo.
Well, and they have to keep Tulowitzki healthy. That was a big problem last year. Played, 40-something games. Baxter fouls it off, and it's 1-1. But all that notwithstanding, the Mets don't hit the meat of their schedule until after the first few weeks. And, we were having a discussion earlier about, would you bite the bullet and bring up Zach Wheeler and get him started from the beginning? That might be another reason to recommend that move. Give him a chance to, face some of the lesser competition in the league to get his feet wet. But again, the financial considerations probably outweigh that. And the other piece, of course, about Wheeler is that he missed time this spring because of that injury that he suffered swinging the bat, and hasn't pitched probably quite as many innings as they'd like.
I saw him some of the games that I did at the backfield, showing him pitch. He looked, little we saw of him, he looked good.
Well, every scout I talked to, to a man, has said to me he's either the best arm they saw in minor leagues last year or one of the top 3.
And they've been saying the same this spring. It's hard to argue with that. 3-2 to Baxter. We just got the report on Jeremy Hefner. X-rays negative.
Good.
Contusion of the right elbow. So we'll see.
Ice. 24 hours ice. Keep the swelling down.
Dr. Hernandez.
No, that's Ron Hunt, the school of Ron Hunt.
Oh, right.
Baxter aboard with a walk. So the Mets have 2 men on. Mike Matheny wants a right-hander in the game. So we'll get a pitching change here. So Greenwood goes an inning and a third, and he'll take his exit as the Cardinals change pitchers here in the bottom of the 8th. 9-4 St. Louis. We'll be right back. .23-year-old Michael Clayton takes over the pitching for the Cardinals.
Well, they're counting on Clayton. You see his spring training. Walks are up. That's been really his only problem, but extremely hard thrower.
Got in 9 games for the Cardinals last year. Clayton was originally signed by the Mets. Spent 2 years in the Mets organization before they let him go. And now a piece and a valuable one for St. Louis. Danny Muno, the batter, up for the first time. And Clayton falls behind him 2-0. So Greenwood went an inning and a third, allowed 4 hits and 2 runs so far. Cardinals 9 runs, 11 hits. Mets 4 runs, 11 hits. And quickly Clayton falls behind 3-0. Listed at 6'3" and maybe underestimating at 250 pounds.
Big man.
Got that Ray King body. A little taller than King. And there's ball 4. So the Mets have the bases loaded. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night, the only show that's only New York sports. Tonight, lots more on the Mets and Cardinals and everything New York sports. Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30, only on SNY. Now Richard Lucas will bat for the first time. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Lucas takes a burping breaking ball for a strike.
Hiccup.
Richard Lucas, 4th round pick by the Mets in 07 from Jacksonville, Florida. And Clayton misses low with a breaking ball, and it's 1-1. Lucas played last year here in St. Lucie. Hit .251 with 8 home runs, 19 stolen bases. Fastball sits high, and it's 2-1.
This has not been a clinic on pitching this afternoon. Except for Adam Wainwright, I guess.
Wainwright turned in 6 solid innings. Lucas pounds one foul. There's Dylan Owen up again in the Mets bullpen. Reynolds at third, Baxter at second, and Muno at first with 1 out. The Cardinals scored 6 runs in the 4th inning, 4 of them on a Pete Cosmic grand slam right after Jeremy Hefner was knocked out of the game, hit on the pitching elbow by a hard-won hopper off the bat of Carlos Beltran. X-rays negative on Hefner's elbow. He has a contusion, which in layman's terms means a bruise. But that's a bad place to have a bruise, right on your pitching elbow. And that didn't miss by much. Full count to Lucas.
Called low by C.B. Buckner.
So with the bases loaded, a 3-2 count on Lucas, with Corey Vaughn, who can hit a home run, waiting on deck. And Lucas can't stop the swing. He goes down on strikes. 2 out.
Well, ball 4 there. Chased a bad one. Young kid looking for a 3-2 fastball with the bases loaded. Got a little wrinkle to Buckler's world.
So now Corey Vaughn up for the first time. Vaughn, the son of big home run hitter Greg Vaughn, chases a breaking ball out of the strike zone. 0-1.
And I think he's proven a couple of things since he's been in the minor leagues. One, he's got some pop, but his Achilles heel is the strikeouts.
114 strikeouts here in St. Lucie last year, but he did hit 23 home runs. And this is not an easy league to hit home runs in. But he does not look good in his first 2 pitches he sees from Clayton. A couple of breaking balls, and he's down on the count 0-2.
Well, this is the reason I like Clayton. He's got a devastating slider when he's on.
So Clayton put himself in a bases loaded mess with a walk. Now trying to pitch his way out of it. Can't get Vaughn to chase that breaking ball, and it's 1-2. Zach Lutz would be next. Mets and Astros tomorrow night, with John Neese making his final tune-up for opening day. Jonathan's Buckeyes survived on Sunday.
Barely, right?
Strike 3 call. Vaughn down looking, back-to-back strikeouts for Clayton as he gets himself out of trouble in the 8th. We go to the 9th, 9-4 St. Louis. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by WB Mason, by Bud Light, by Geico, and by Jeep. The Jeep Showcase event is going on now. Come see what's new and get a great deal on new Jeep brand vehicles today. Ninth inning, Dylan Owen on to pitch to Ty Wigginton, who's up for the first time in the game. And Wigginton takes inside for ball one. Changes for the Mets. Matt Reynolds stays in at shortstop. Daryl Siciliani is playing center field, and there is Dylan Owen, who pitched in AAA last year.
We've seen him in a couple spring training games also. You see his numbers. More walks than strikeouts. You don't see that very often.
Dylan Owen out of Francis Marion University in Florence, South Carolina.
Mookie went there before he went to University of South Carolina, I believe. Spent a year there, maybe.
I thought that Mookie went to Spartanburg Methodist College.
Oh, maybe.
Chopped to shortstop, and Reynolds with the overhand throw, one away. I've actually been to Francis Marion College.
I have too. Really? The spring trip for Yale, we used to go down there and play Francis Marion, and we'd get off the bus and we'd always say the same thing. The red dirt clay had a distinctive smell.
Brutal? Really? Can you describe it?
No. It was, I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Adrian Chambers up for the first time.
Did you beat up on him? Or
No, we usually got beat up on by the Southern
When
colleges.
the Northern teams go south, the Southern teams have already played 20 games.
You try not to get beat up if you can.
Really? Okay.
We used to play teams like Francis Marion, North Carolina, Wilmington, Stetson, Rollins, teams like that. University of Central Florida.
They flew you down to those spots?
No, bus down, gee.
Chambers lines one, and Lucas has it.
I was going to say.
2 out.
The first year, our infield coach was a guy named Dick Chiron. You might know him as the head football coach for the Lions for a while? Oh, Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills.
Pretty good DB at Yale in his day.
Exactly. He taught me the intro to Yes's Roundabout, so it was worth the bus ride. It's the little things that make those.
Wait, they taught you the words or taught you to play it?
Taught me the intro to play it on a guitar.
Really?
Yes.
And could you do that today?
Oh, yeah. We'll bring it in one day when we have one of those kind of games.
Rob Johnson up for the first time. The former Met lifts one to center field. Siciliani chasing back to the warning track. It's over his head, and it's out of here. Rob Johnson against his old team, drilling one over the right center field fence to make it 10-4 St. Louis. The Cardinals' third home run of the day.
Well, all the home runs have been to center field to right, up and over to right. That wind.
By the way, I think Rob Johnson could play roundabout on the guitar too.
Exactly. He just pulled a roundabout.
About to run roundabout the bases. So with 2 out and nobody on, this is Carson Kelly, and he drives one into right center for a base hit, and Siciliano has to chase this one back to the wall. Kelly will stop at second base with a 2-out double. Now Greg Garcia will bat for the first time against Dylan Owen.
When my brother was at Cal, played for the Cal baseball team, it was a Pac-8 then.
Yeah.
You had Fred Lynn down in
Arizona?
No,
UCLA.
No, Southern Cal.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. USC.
Steve Dunning, remember him? He was the #1 pick for I forget who. He was at Stanford.
Was Reggie?
No, Reggie was older.
Okay, older.
QB Brooks?
No, it was Arizona State.
Yeah.
It was the Pac-8 then.
Oh, they were not in the Pac-8. That's right.
And Berkeley used to always play the Oakland A's in exhibition game at Cal.
Oh, really?
Yes. And that's when they were good, the A's. So that was always fun. And they had the great track team, Cal, Berkeley then. They had Isaac Curtis, who won the Bengals, wide receiver, and they had Tommy Hart. that was their sprint team. Oh, they used to announce the 100-yard dash, or 100-meter dash. I would run over the right field fence and go watch it. So they could fly.
Man.
I'm picturing you running over the right field fence.
Well, it was a gate through there.
I thought you ran right through it.
I thought you could fly.
It was the back end of there was a coliseum. It was, you know, so it was the right field fence was up high at Cal, and you could go through the Cyclone fence and go watch the speech. They had a fast team, boy. They had some great sprinters.
I remember one spring training game, one spring game for the Yale baseball team were playing Eckerd, and I believe
that's down in St. Pete, isn't it?
Yeah, and their first baseman was Bye Balboni, Steve Balboni. So I remember he, from the infield, looking in, and he took up the whole batter's box as he launched home run after home run. But I remember the next day, we had an off day, and we got to see the Mets play a spring training game, and Tim Leary pitched for the Mets, and all of us saying, boy, that's the greatest pitcher we've ever seen. I mean, he was throwing then, 95 miles an hour, razor blade.
With that hook.
He might have been, right?
He was.
If he hadn't gotten hurt.
He was unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, he came back and had a respectable career, but before he got hurt on a cold day at Wrigley Field, he was amazing.
Yep.
Doc. He was
Doc before there was Doc.
He was
electric.
He had a lot of nicknames, Timmy.
Up the middle and a base hit for Garcia. That'll bring in Kelly with the 11th St. Louis run.
Swing back, good boy.
Fresno State had a very good baseball program, and Dick Ruthven was one of the pitchers on Fresno State. And my brother played at Cal back in the early 70s.
Your brother was a first baseman like you?
Yeah, left-handed. Our options are limited. Either outfield or pitch or first base.
I don't know. Your options have been pretty good.
This is Matt Adams, who we've seen before this spring, and we has hit line drives all over every ballpark.
This guy can swing the bat. Big, strong kid. Oh, look at the stripes. Mr. Webb, our director, can I see those? Yes, thank you. Look at those stripes. And that's a little overkill there, but I used to show 3/4 of my stripes.
Dangerous pitch for Owen here.
Behind 2-0 on Adams.
Change up. Oh, got the call there.
Adams got 86 at bats with the Cardinals last year in his big league debut. So don't really have much spot for him right now as far as a starting player, but at age 24 he is raring to go. And he takes a strike, 2-2. Dylan Owen, who pitched for Buffalo last year, will be pitching in thinner air in Vegas this year. And it chopped out to Muno at second, and that retires the side. Cardinals tack on a pair. Mets will come up in the bottom of the ninth, down 11-4. You know, the first game in Mets history was played in St. Louis, April 11th, 1962. The final score, Cardinals 11, Mets 4.
Oh.
So it's like a retro day. That is Carson Kelly now playing third base for the Cardinals. Ryan Jackson moves from third base to left field. And Adrian Chambers moves from left field to right field. Daryl Siciliani up for the first time against Mark Zepchinski. And he takes ball one.
You know, there was a huge trade in 2011 where the Cardinals got Zepchinski from the Toronto Blue Jays, and it made such a big difference down the stretch. And he played a big role in their winning their World Championship in 2011. It's the postseason. I don't think that the Cardinals, other than Carpenter, had anyone go more than 5 innings.
Sorry, this is Zach Lutz batting. I think I said Siciliani. He's on deck.
Okay, well, that happens.
Well, hate to lose track.
We'll iron it out. We're much better when 9 players play the whole game, or 8 players.
Well, even 25.
That's
would be just fine. It's the guys with the 88s on the back. Just got an update on Sean Markham, who we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, will not be pitching Thursday in his last tune-up. Nice backhand play by Kelly. He throws out Lutz one away. The word is that the shoulder impingement, for which he had the cortisone shot earlier, is getting better. His neck, which is the latest problem, is being treated with anti-inflammatories, and he will not pitch on Thursday. Confirmed. So what that means for Markham as far as the start of the season, we don't know. What the situation is with Jeremy Hefner after he suffered a contusion on his elbow today, we don't know. We do know the Mets have 3 healthy starters for their rotation to begin the season. Beyond that, we don't know much. Siciliani rips a base hit. So Daryl Siciliani, his first time up, has himself a base hit.
Well, let's take a look at his swing. Ball down. I've never seen a left-hander that did not like the ball down, RJ. Nice swing on it.
I think he's the young man who won a batting title, didn't he, for Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, yeah.
Hit 350 something, maybe?
Hit 351 in 2010 at Brooklyn. Hit 329 for St. Lucie last year, but was hurt for most of the year. Here's Anthony Recker up for the second time. Flied out to left his first time up. By the way, we've been speculating throughout the broadcast about pitching help for the Mets. One guy they can't get their hands on, Scott Kazmir, who has won the 5th starter's job in Cleveland.
Wow.
That's quite a resurrection of his career after he appeared to be through after his fastball disappeared. The former Mets prospect.
It's interesting how you can hire a new manager like Terry Francona, and the hope in Cleveland has gone skyrocketed, hasn't it?
One and 2 to Recker. Well, they've spent some money in Cleveland, too. You know, spent big money for Michael Bourne and for Nick Swisher.
So is Dice K out there? Wasn't he in camp going for the 4th or 5th slot?
I would imagine that
Kazmir took him out.
Yeah. Strike 3 called, so Recker's caught looking. First strikeout for Zepchinski, and the Mets are down to their last out.
No breaking ball in the outside corner, Keith.
Change up, prior pitch, and then backdoored him.
Landon Powell will come up as a pinch hitter. Powell has been competing with Recker for the backup catching job this spring. Takes one in the dirt for ball 1. Zepchinski trying to finish things off after Adam Wainwright went the first 6 innings for St. Louis. pulls one down to third. Kelly showing off that strong arm, and the ball game is over. So the Cardinals hit 3 home runs, get a strong outing from Adam Wainwright, and they beat the Mets this afternoon in Port St. Lucie 11-4.
Well, too much Wainwright today for the Cardinals. He was outstanding, and for the Mets really day to day to watch how Jeremy Hefner comes back from getting that ground ball off the bat of Beltran that hit his elbow.
Yeah, I think off on the offensive side, Lucas Duda, a big day at the plate, 3 for 4, hit his 5th home run of spring, 2-run home run in the 7th, a double and a single, 4 RBI on the day. So that's a big positive for the Mets offensively.
So the Cardinals win at 11-4. We'll be back with you tomorrow as the Mets and Astros play at 6 o'clock. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen. We'll see you tomorrow night.